Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, it's not Tyler, even though his little sprite was on the thing. Originally, it was going to be him, and then we were going to have two guests, and then it's swapped around. But it's just Tom. It's just Tom. How you doing, Tom?
He's sneaky, man. That little sprite.
Yeah,
They're dangerous. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Also joining us on the show for the first time this week, Matt. What's up, buddy? Good to have you. Good to have you along.
Thank you so much for having me on. Now, how many shows until I get my own little Warhammer Weekly cartoon character?
Oh boy, a couple hundred.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, just a couple hundred. Pretty easy. So, I mean, Tyler, we really did award him that, relatively fast. But he had to sign up quite a lot for that. He had to sacrifice his soul. So, standard Slaneshi ritual, all the sort of thing you'd expect. Today, we are going to be talking about all sorts of contracts, articles, footnotes, and amendments, because we're going to be talking about the new KO Battletome. Does it fly high, or should you disengage immediately? Get ready for all sorts of boat-related puns and hot takes. Yes. But of course, first, also my dogs are all in the room with me here. I don't know if you can see any of them. They're walking. They'll probably pop in a frame every so often. At any rate, we'll have some random dog sightings.
Are we gonna launch this ship?
Yes, indeed. As always, we begin with the news. What do you got, Tom?
A rumor engine and a hand.
It's a hand. It's a magic hand.
It is a hand. I don't even know how to respond to it.
It kind of looks a little dwarven, though, doesn't it? Looks a little stunty.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Got that short
I think
forearm.
it's the fat. Yeah, the short forearm. That said, man, I don't know what this would be, because you would expect that some of that would have been spoiled at this point, right?
I have no idea. Maybe a
like
new...
as an alternate. Like, I don't know.
It's a cities model. We're getting new dwarves for cities. There it is. Boom. Called it. Done.
Yeah.
You guys are just lucky.
That.
You guys are just lucky that that wasn't the rumor. I wasn't on the show with the rumor engine with the Blood Bowl vampire punch dagger, because I would have gone on a 30-minute rant on how that's the best game Games Workshop has ever produced.
Oh, a lot of people do agree with you. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people do. Obviously, the answer is clearly Mordheim, but that's all right. I'll accept Blood Bowl. It's very popular. I mean, you've got to respect a community that kept a game going for 20 years while it wasn't published, and kept a living rule set basically around. So, hey, there you go. All right. What else we got beyond a hand?
A skink starseer.
We do.
Whatever this newfangled model is.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting on the toilet reading his smartphone. I mean, orb.
He does look like he's kind of sitting on the toilet reading a smartphone. Yes, you're not wrong. Yeah, this is obviously a huge glow up over the old model. The new models continue to roll out. They said there was a lot. So I find no part of this surprising. It's obviously an incredible model, in both how it's sort of floating with the little vines and all of that, but also just his headdress and everything else. Once again, big shout out to the painter who painted this. I think they did a just marvelous job with those feathers on the headdress. I think those look absolutely wonderful. So all in all, cool. Good stuff.
So we have a lizard on a squatty potty.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Skaven players are crying their eyes out with their 30-year-old model set as the Seraphon just get a whole new range.
It's fine. It's fine. Look, here's the answer. Okay? The answer is all of this is just getting the preliminaries out of the way. This is the opening act, okay, for what will be the big show, which is Skaven boldly leading the charge on the launch of 4th edition, entire new Skaven range, new part of a launch box with a whole redesign, and then we'll look back at this Seraphon launch and be like, oh, it was okay. And that, so, but you gotta you gotta warm up the crowd first, and that's what Seraphon are here to do. They're
So
here to
you're
be this opening
saying
act.
this is like the Necron, like the glow up that they're gonna get.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is them testing ideas, just working the kinks out, just really putting it through the paces, prototyping what will be the incredible range of unbelievable Skaven models to come.
Did you say Skaven and boldly in the same sentence? I think you did.
I did, yes. I stand behind it.
Well, speaking of bold things, we
sure.
have 2 Battletomes coming.
Yep.
Khorne and Slaanesh.
Yep.
Something that no one is surprised about.
Yep. We went one of the fastest rumor as mentioned in many comments. One of the fastest rumor engine reveals in history. Because the thing from like last week was the guy they revealed the next day or whatever.
Quick, we need a rumor engine. We forgot. Take a picture of that thing on your desk.
Exactly. Well, this hasn't come out yet, so it's still valid. New Slaanesh tome, new Khorne tome, standard new 1 hero with each. Okay, cool. Great. I have no other thoughts.
We'll see. We'll see is my answer. We'll see, GW.
I hope all you Khorne players really enjoyed that 16-inch bubble of 6-inch pile-ins, because you got about a week like a month left?
Yeah.
Well, some amount of time. They didn't say the exact date, but soon, obviously. And first of all, completely agreed with you there, Matt. Like that's going away 100%. But a deeper way, I'm sure that Khorne is going to be a pretty radically different play experience. My honest hope would be both of these armies are radically different play experiences than what they are now.
I mean, but do we really think that Slaanesh is going to change that much?
No, I think it'll be the Skaven of this pairing where they phone it in. I really do.
Aw, like it's so sad because it's a beautiful line. Like they really did.
Yeah, look at that cover.
The redesign. Yeah,
look at that cover.
Well,
it's incredible.
I mean,
it's incredible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Have you seen the original art? Have you seen the original art before they ran it through the filters? The original art was like way better than the filtered art that they actually ended up putting on the cover.
Are you talking
like
about
the original?
Yeah.
Because that art piece was a different art piece with like a green sky and all that, and they ran it through a bunch of filters, and now it's not what it was. That's all I'm saying. That original art piece was stunning. Yeah.
The artist who designed that cover just really didn't like to draw knees or ankles, and they're just like, here's a seeker, here's some pink mist. It's like, what's the artist who did all the
Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, and he did the smoke. He was just like, I don't like drawing ankles. Smoke cloud.
Yeah, lots of people walk around in smoke. Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
First of all, that's fine. No shame in your game. It's not the important part, anyways. And secondly, time will tell on these. I think the art's great. I think the art's going to be good, or is good on both of them. I'm excited to see what they bring. I really am. But I know my luck, and so that is based on nothing but my knowledge that the universe generally hates me. So
no, you're right, Vince, because I was considering possibly getting out the army of Slaanesh that I slowly acquired from awards at events over like the last 2 years, because it was always like the last stuff picks, like Battle Force boxes and stuff like that. So I've been slowly building this mountain of Slaanesh, just waiting for the moment that it's actually going to be good. Mm-hmm. It appears I'll be waiting a couple more years.
We'll see. Time will tell. No idea yet, but we can hope. All right. I think that's. Oh no, we got one more big news item. Yeah, go for it.
An FAQ. You want to talk about that, Vince?
Yeah, there's FAQs. I'll bring them up here. So we have new FAQs. They dropped for KO, Gits, and Beasts. This is.
I love how this is the record, right, for fastest FAQ for a Battletome that hasn't been released.
I think that they just saw an error and were like, let's throw it in there. I think we'll still get like a 4-week FAQ for KO.
Sure. An error. Yeah.
They're like, nah, dog.
Well,
It's the same mistake they made with the first KO Battletome, though. It's
Sure.
literally the same mistake they made when they had mortars from 48 inches away, just stacking. It was just it's so ironic. It's so great.
yes. So when we get to the Aether Chemist's etheric augmentation in this very show and review that rule, read the new version of it, which is at the start of your shooting phase, if this unit is not embarked, you can pick one friendly Skyfarer's unit that is not embarked and is wholly within 12 inches of this unit and improve the range characteristic of that unit's missile weapons by 1 until the end of that phase. The same unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once per phase. Boom. Okay. So point is no stacking, no stock and blocking. All right. So great. Neat. We'll apply that there. Fun times. Let me just say in advance, this is a little spoiler for my opinions that are coming up. You know what I don't like about the KO tome? Why is everything so complicated still? Like, why does this army like this? Why are you like this?
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they literally have a model now to represent how complicated and loophole ridden this army is.
Yeah. I think I've come to the well, I'll save it. Let's keep going.
I will say one thing on the Gits FAQ is that they have confirmed that this is just the Gloomspites Gits world and we are just living in it. They pretty much confirmed it.
I'm gonna say that for the Beast of Chaos, actually, but sure, both of these were pretty good FAQs for Gits and Beasts. So on the Git side, we had some things that we certainly expected, like Gabapalooza. You have the same unit can't be affected more than once. No rend stacking. Good. Okay, exactly what we all expected from the moment we read this. On the Squig herd, the Squig's gone wild. The rule changed each time a cave Squig in this unit flees as a result of a failed battle shock test before that model's removed. So very minor change there. Adding fly to the loon boss, which he should have. That was just being left off. Same with the grot and hero keywords from the web spinner.
Yeah.
And single to the Arachnarok. And what I'll say is, as always, I wouldn't, like, these to me feel like these were the sort of straight, immediate, obvious fixes. They'll be battle scrolls. So, hey, Gits players, you might still get yours in the future. Okay, like, depending on how the numbers go. But that's the right way to do it. There's people have a lot of complaints and concerns. Let some data play out. 3 months is a pretty fast adjustment time on Battle Scroll, and I think that changes can be made where necessary. Points move around, whatever. And I think taking that kind of a more data-driven approach to making those changes is the right answer. You don't just want to knee-jerk everything. But these were absolutely the correct changes. Beasts of Chaos. Goodness sakes. What in the what? Like 52 different answers and erratas. Didn't this book just come out? What is going on here? All right. And they're all answers that, like, part of me is like, I don't know if that's answered correctly. Let me just state that right now. Does the Aura of Insanity ability for the Morgurite Chaos Spawns stack the neg 1 attack? Yes. Okay. Has everybody seen the 21 Chaos Spawn list? Spam list, the Morgurite Chaos Spawn. Have you seen that one? Yeah, it's real fun. It uses
right up my alley.
It uses 7 of the 3 packs of Morgurite Chaos Spawn. Effectively, it's impossible to ever make more than 1 attack out of any model. Ever.
Amazing.
So that's fun.
I didn't see 21, but I did see, too many spawns to count list floating around the SoCal Discord this day.
Sure.
Checks out.
If a unit of Bestigors targets a unit with their attacks and that unit receives all at defense, does the Bestigor unit get the +1 attack? The answer is yes. That's how I expected this to get ruled, that it would be like a back and forth trigger. Basically, like, I'm going to attack this unit. Okay, I'm going to all-out defense. Okay, now my +1 attack triggers, hence generating more attacks that I then have to allocate, right? It's a little bit wonky in the rules, but I think we can all be big boys and girls and figure out how this works. It's not... Like, my God, people, it's not the end of the world, okay? It's cool. We get it. Like, colloquially, we all understand how this happens, right? All right.
You're giving the community too much credit there, Vince.
I really feel like most of us are pretty loosey-goosey with the all-out attack and all-out defense command abilities anyways. The number of times I've been into wound rolls and had somebody go, I'm going to all-out defense. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Cool. So, like, I'm just saying. Maybe this will make them actually respond when they're supposed to.
Maybe that's just because you play sloppy, Vince.
It could be. Maybe I roll too fast. I don't know. Does the Beast Herd ambush ability give +1 to charge if the unit's set up with anything else, like a Soul Scream Bridge? Answer yes. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
Great stuff.
Awesome.
If I fail to roll, couple cockatrice, petrifying gaze answers here I'm not happy with. I'm gonna say it straight out. These are the wrong answers. These need changed. Not these answers specifically, but this ability. This ability is trash and it's too strong. I can't, I'm putting the flag down real hard on this right now. This cockatrice ability is too strong. And, I do not know what Slaves to Darkness army will go to war as long as this thing exists in this form and not have 2 of these. Why would you ever?
What Chaos army is not going to be bringing these?
Sure. Do you want your Chaos Warriors to be, truly immortal? Because they will be. Nothing can kill them if there's 2 cockatrices. Well, I shouldn't say that. It becomes highly statistically improbable, for them to die if you have 2 cockatrices backing them up. Because it makes it so they're only hit on 6s. That's wild.
It sounds like a good time to me.
I'm sure it does. Until you play it. And then you'll be you'll go against that with your Nighthaunt or something, and it'll feel pretty bad.
It'll be a slap fight. It'll be great.
I'm just not excited the most part because the jokes are not going to die anymore. I thought maybe if it was just one, the jokes would just be over, but no, they're only going to exponentially increase. Now there's 2 of them.
Yep. Oh, they're always just they're in your face. They're all over the place.
Yeah. So the point being is that this thing still works, and you can still roll multiple cockatrices at a single unit trying to get that 4 up. So, hey, good stuff, I guess. Begin the stacking of cockatrices, petrifying gaze. Definitely the play experience we all wanted. Wrong answer, guys. Wrong answer. Fix the ability or change it or something. I don't care. Just make this be different. If I use it,
please.
Yeah, if I use the Doom Bull Slaughterer's Call ability on a unit that made a run, move, or retreated, can that unit still charge? Answer yes. Hey, okay, so Bulgor Minotaurs are now run in charge, retreat in charge, everything in charge. Charge multiple times, charge. Take a third bite at the charge roll, charge.
Charge when the game's over. Game's over, I'm going to roll a charge.
Just charge your opponent. Absolutely. That is...
the player, not the models.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you just at the end of the game, you charge them. Well, it's very powerful ability. My fear is it tilts too much to seeing basically Bulgor type spam, but I guess we'll see. Can a Gorgon pick the same enemy model with its Swallow Whole ability multiple times? Yes. Can you pick a friendly Brayherd unit with the Beast Lord's ability if they're more than 3 inches away? No, that's actually a good answer. I was happy with that. What happens if they can't move a model that target the target of a blood taunt? It has no effect. Can they move out of coherency? No. Blah, blah. These are all just things. Okay, great. Next, moving on. Let's talk about the things that are important. First of all, we got the notable update to Quake Fray Earth Shatter, which is just they removed the line of sight thing. All right. Perfectly reasonable. We removed it from the realm spell. We all expected this. Otherwise it's just silly. It's silly that my model standing on top of the 1 millimeter point, you can't target it. Now, obviously that's dumb. Okay. So correct answer. Happy with that. Good stuff. And then Battle Tactics Aid of the Wilderness, just clarification and cleanup on exactly how you trigger it. Ungor Raiders, thank you for putting in this proper verbiage that now we can officially say you must target a unit within the normal range of the Ungor Raiders bows. We don't have 36-inch Ungor Raider bows shooting out across the board. This is the correct fix. We added the additional words. Now it is clear.
20-inch Goblin bows are already annoying enough. We don't need 36-inch Ungor Raider bows.
Absolutely correct. I still don't know where those goblins are getting their strings from, but I'm pleased for them. They got some real recurve on that. Jabber Slices can fly now, and Zangor Enlightened on the ones on foot are now 90 points where they should be. The weirdest misprint that they were at 165. Obviously a dumb unit, and they belonged at 90 points. So great. Good stuff.
I think we need to ban Emily from the chat.
I don't.
Her boat puns are just overboard.
No, it's fantastic. Emily, don't you listen to him for a minute. You keep being awesome. So the yeah, I mean, like, I like all of these FAQ answers excluding the cockatrice thing, which is really a problem with the core ability that just needs to be like completely changed. All right, so there's all the FAQs. Good stuff. I think that's all the news, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that, let's go to some pick of the week. Matt, we'll start with you, buddy. What do you got? What do you want to share with everybody?
So I just wanted to share with everybody a great event in Southern California run by a mediocre guy, Gareth Thomas. He's a TO that runs a lot of events in Southern California. Vince, he's been on your show before. And it's just an awesome event. It's going to be in a great venue with tons of space, with a great view overlooking mountains and a lake, and it's going to be in Lake Forest, California. So if you are in the Southwest and you want to come to an awesome event run by a really experienced seasoned TO with clear FAQs and a great pack, come to Old Town Throwdown. I'm sure we can put the Best Coast Bearings or the Old Town Throwdown link in the description.
Already in the description right now, my friend. Both links are there so people can check it out. Look at everything they would need to do, the event, the rules, the whole shooting match. It's all down there like magic. Gareth is obviously an excellent, amazing TO. As a human, like, okay, 50-50. But as a TO, exceptional. Truly exceptional. Like, really, I mean that honestly. Yes.
Head judge of LVO. He helps TO some the GW Open events. Even when he's not asked to do so, he still just does it because people come up to him and just ask him questions because they assume he's the TO.
As one would expect, he's living that hardcore TO lifestyle. Tom, what do you got, buddy? What's your pick of the week? And if you don't have one, I already covered you, but go ahead.
No, I have one. Okay. This will be close to Matt's heart. The Aethercast crew has produced their first thoughts show. Aethercast is a show that is dedicated exclusively to the KO. And they are a wonderful group of captains that have been piloting the KO for a long time. It's one of the chat groups that I'm a part of, and it's just a great group of folks. And so they did a show a couple days ago, just doing like a 3-hour show, deep dive on KO and kind of their first impressions and tests and kind of reflections on the book. And so I highly encourage folks to check them out. Like,
very nice.
if you don't get enough here, go there, because there's a lot of different folks that all play the army, that all play it differently, that have their own leans, and so it's a fascinating it's a kind of a fascinating engagement is what I would say. Just the whole podcast in general. But
and they'll continue to put out shows on this book for months, and then do tournament reviews, and then they'll look at one Skyport. They'll look at each Skyport individually. Yeah, so they really if you can't get enough KO, go over to Aethercast. I can't agree more.
100%. Don't forget to hit like. I mean, the dog was there begging you to hit like. Look at that adorable dog just sitting there in her chair. My co-pilot tonight. If you don't hit like, then you don't like the dogs, cute dogs. So I don't know what to say there. My picks, yes, Aethercast, Facehammer, AOS Coach, all linked down below. Check it out. If you want more KO goodness, if you just can't get enough, all that's linked down below. But so check them all out. Also, rerolling ones down there too. Did I say that? I think I said that too. Nope. I don't know. Whatever. Rerolling ones as well. Everything's down there. It's fine. A bunch of people did stuff. It's all great. Check them all out. KO for life there. But my pick, all those are fantastic.
No, you don't get to do that.
I do. It's my show. But my
Tom,
pick.
Do we get an extra?
Yes.
Apparently not.
I couldn't resist this one. I found this is literally as I was prepping the news, and it came up in my sub feed. I will admittedly say I haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but it's. But I don't care. I don't care. I can recommend it sight unseen. Okay, and that is Halo's response video to Miniacs is AOS a trash game video. It's Halo watching it and live reacting to it. I did not watch because it's from one of his Twitch streams. I did not get to watch that one live. I don't care. I'm sure it's gold. This is Halo's element, right? He's in his sweet spot here. Anybody who follows Halo on Twitter knows that like the FAQ reacts are the best. So, this is just that all over again.
When you see one on your feed, you stop what you're doing. You clear your next 20 minutes and you just get in a comfy seat and you enjoy the show.
That's right. Yeah, this is a solid hour video. Gonna fill up your day there, and give you lots of good fun response. So there we go. Okay. Now, with all that out of the way, let's talk about some hobby time. Matt, what have you been working on? What's on your table for hobby wise?
I think we're going to talk about why in a moment, but I have been working on Arcanaut frigates. I had a bit of a mishap with the KO army that I built and painted. It vanished under mysterious circumstances, but I have been mustering my forces again, and I ended up getting a big bulk of KO minis, and I had a couple frigates lying around, built those up. I'm working on pinning them to terrain because those flight stands are atrocious. And I'm going to experiment with this. I'm sure you've seen it, Vince. It's a paint that absorbs like 99 point whatever % of light. And I'm a huge Beric Mornar fan. So I want to experiment with light absorbing paint as sort of a low tech cloaking device, or like a shadowing system on the KO. So I'm on the frigate. So on half the frigate, I'm going to do this paint that absorbs like all light and there's no detail. And then the other half is going to be painted normally with, you see this a lot on 40K models with stealth suits and such. So I'm going to try to see if I can't experiment with that. And I think it's going to come out great. Okay.
I have concerns, but I wish you the best of luck, is what I will say.
Well, it's awesome because I only have to paint half of a frigate 3 times over.
This is true. This is true.
I mean, those frigates are rough. That's all I'm saying. Not as bad as the ironclads, but they're rough.
It's fine. All right, Tom. You've had 5 days without power. What are you working on by candlelight?
Yeah. So Kentucky had a land hurricane. I don't know how else to say it. Like 80-mile-an-hour sustained winds. And so I have been out of power for 5 days. I just got back into my house 20 minutes before the show started. So that happened. But during that time, I did utilize that time to completely gut part of my basement, which is going to be my hobby area. And so I was working on something, my hobby and gaming area, or what will become that, this last weekend. So
nice. Okay. For me, I finished my unit. Everything's packed up because I'm actually going to visit Sam Lenz tomorrow and spend some time with Sam and Uncle Adam over the weekend. So everything is packed up, all my Golden Demon stuff to work on, to continue refinement and work on it and get some second eyeballs on it this weekend. But I finished the unit. It's done. I have only got the base for one thing left to do. And then, I've got to prep like 100 models for my classes, but that's not actually that big of a deal. So I'll do that next week when I get back. And then make a bunch of videos and, just normal stuff. But at any rate, finally finished that third Ogroid Therodon. My goodness gracious, what an ordeal. They're all done. They're all based. Feeling good about them. I look forward to winning absolutely nothing with them after spending an egregious amount of time on them and being sad for some short amount of time and then moving on with my life because who cares? It's a toy. Like, whatever.
Would you say it was an ordeal?
No. Okay. All right. So,
Crickets.
yeah, indeed. So, but anyways, that's all done, all packed up, ready to rock. And with that, gentlemen, let's talk about KO. There we go. 2023 Kharadron Overlords. Let's get into it. I've got a little overview slide here. Let's start there. Bloop. Okay, I'm going to give my overview, and then I want to get both of your overviews as well. Okay? All right. So here's my feelings on it after ingesting the book. Many things will feel the same, but there are some real changes here. What I mean by that is, like, conceptually, this is still the army that you know as KO. It's not like it's suddenly a melee army or something like that, completely different. It's not like everybody lost all their guns and now it's like 6-inch range pistols or something, you know, like it's not a reinvention of the thing, right? But there are some real changes here, especially in how some units work and how some rules get put together and things like that, that are going to be highly impactful on your execution, your path to victory, and your play experience. And I think there was a clear attempt made here to split up some of the roles of the various units, like especially the boats, where it feels like they really tried to divide them out into not just have 3 different versions of basically the same unit with different amounts of guns that are all doing the same thing, which is what kind of the old book felt like. Whereas now I think they've definitely tried to pin that out. There's still quite a lot of complexity that doesn't need to be here. I'm looking at you, Thunderer Weapons. Like, whatever. This is still the most 40k AOS army, right? Where we've got to have our plasma pistol and our rocket launcher and blah, 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 right? It's still mostly a shooting force, though it wants to be in melee a little bit more. And the armor across the board has increased, which is cool. They're tougher. They've upped that, so that's nice. And the points seem quite reasonable, is what I'll say. Like, my first read of the points was like, yeah, okay, those are pretty reasonable. And there's some strong synergies. Definitely some chances to make some units punch above their weight. Now, not on this slide, but something worth mentioning is this was one of my least favorite books of the entire second edition cycle. I've been very straightforward that I think it was one of the worst designed books that they wrote, the original second edition book. I think this is a vast improvement over that. It is still too wordy for my taste. I came to the realization, especially after doing our show last week on psychographic profiles, that this just isn't an army for me, right? In reading it, like, this fits much more into the Johnny Spike territory than is an army for me. And it just doesn't match what I want to do. The play experience that I want to have. But that is not a judgment on the book, right? That's saying, look, sometimes books just don't align. I think this is dramatically improved as far as the actual play experience, the clarity, the smoothness of the rules. It's still a complex book because it's a complex thing, because it's a Johnny type book, and Johnny type books love this kind of complexity. So fine, great, good enough, right? So down with that. I mean, Emily is still just hitting these puns like left and right, by the way. I am so excited for everybody else who gets to watch this back later, and just I hope they're paying attention to the chat and reading Emily's amazing puns. At any rate, now, Matt, let's start with you, buddy. High level, what's your take? What are you feeling as a KO fan?
Yeah, absolutely. My tagline for the overview is, they finally got it right. It's not perfect, but they finally got it right in terms of the complexity, but also, not making it overly complicated where you need to scrutinize every single little word I will say, in that clarification, inside that nuance lives a lot of opportunity for Johnny type players who know how to pull those levers at the right time, take advantage of specific wording, which is probably quite thematic for the army. But overall, the whole book, I think they finally struck a balance, crafted the perfect combined arms army, every skyport is not only usable but good. Like there isn't a bad skyport. Usually with these books, there's one sub faction that's like, okay, well, that one's probably never seen play. I can see you making an army in any one of these. In fact, you can make an army and then pick your skyport if you want to. You don't necessarily need to start at the sub faction and then build an army from there, which I love. You're not being shoehorned into a particular build. And building on top of that, I don't know if there's a bad war scroll in the book. I don't think they're all perfect. I don't think they're all, I don't really know if there's any particularly broken war scroll, but there's not a bad war scroll in this book. And that's what I mean when I say they finally got it right. Vince, I couldn't agree with you more. That the second edition book, the one that we're leaving now with this book, it looks like they had all these rules, and then one person came in with a red pen, was like, nope, cross that out, put a comma here, add the sentence at the end. And then somebody else was like, no, scratch out that one. It's like when you have a track changes document and there's just like, and you can't even tell. So they finally nailed it with the complexity, but also not needing a doctorate degree to play this army.
Sure. Tom? Deep thoughts with Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you can fill some more time.
Yeah, you could.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about this book, like as it currently stands now, because a lot of the things that I deeply loved the most are just gone. And they put in some new things. It's going to create some secondary consequences that I just don't know that they're ready for. And at this, like melee boats used to be a meme, and now it's like a strategy. Like, sure. That's an example of this, right?
Sure.
And yet I just, it's still growing on me. Let me say that. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's terrible, but I also don't like the direction they went, particularly in the way that how it interfaces with other rule sets. And so the example here is, and we'll talk about this. Like, I hate the ship command abilities, like all like the ship mobility stuff living in command abilities, because it gives interaction.
Yeah, sure. There's actual counterplay to your nonsense now.
Sure. But this army doesn't have counterplay to the things like Total Eclipse and other bullshit, right?
Sure.
That are like. That
I think their counterplay is just guns.
No, but it's not. But like, that's not an answer in a book where you can't target support heroes and blah 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 because of the GHB.
Sure.
Like, I still have an issue with. Because of how this is interfacing with other rule set, I think that it's going to be it takes away from some of the uniqueness, and I don't think that they gave enough back to actually to make up for that. I can be wrong, but my initial gut is that I was super disappointed with some of the decisions that were made. That's what I would say.
All right.
I mean, that's totally fair.
Well, let's get into it, shall we?
And some of the the neatest mechanics, which just disappeared. Like, I loved hitching. Like, I loved that concept, and it's gone now.
Yeah, I don't miss it.
So.
But hey, here we go. It is still going to be an FA. It'll look like the Beast of Chaos FAQ, though. I'll say that. There's going to be plenty of questions about this one, because anything with this level of rules complexity, it's just, it happens. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, once you take a book and, across a couple hundred playtesters and then give it to a couple 100,000, there's going to be scenarios and permutations you never could have even anticipated.
Well, especially when you're dealing with like a complex Johnny army, right? Like, that's always going to yield that. So we'll try to call out the FAQs as we hit them, because there are some in here that are already pretty obvious. All right, let's talk about them.
Can I add one more additional thing?
Go for it.
Like, they took out some of the, like, the Timmy fun stuff, and that's, like, that was the gut punch for me.
Sure.
Was the more Timmy-leaning aspects are just gone.
Sure.
Like, I loved the combined arms of Barak 3, right? Of throwing in Fire Slayers with my KO as Coalition. And that's just, like, that's not a thing anymore.
Sure. I love how everybody was talking about combined dwarf book. It's like, no, opposite direction.
No, they went completely, yeah.
As a self-described, 60-40 Timmy Spike, I love this book because it makes me play outside my comfort zone and it makes me a more well-rounded player. And that's initially why I picked it up, because it is so viscerally, everything I'm doing with this book feels so viscerally wrong, and that's how I know it's good. Now I'm using the army correctly.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some allegiance abilities, shall we? We start with the most important allegiance ability in the history of allegiance abilities for a book. Like, not even Stormcast striking from the heavens is more central to their identity than embarking and disembarking for KO. Because in 40K, this is just a transport. That's all this is. It's just generic rules. Every army has transports. We all have transports. It works like transports. Here, this one army does this weird thing. And so we got to talk about it. We got to make a whole bunch of rules for it, right? So here we go. Embarking. Getting on the boat. During deployment, you can just be set up on the boat if the boat's there and all that. Okay, cool. I'm shorting these things. You can see the full rules text on the screen. In the movement phase, if the Skyfarer unit, and like most things are Skyfarers, is what it boils down to now. Like most foot people you would think are Skyfarers. If they finish a move within 3 of a transport vessel, boat, specifically a boat that has crew space, okay, then they can get on. They get on the boat. Okay. Easy enough.
It's that simple.
Yep. Now they do have to be wholly within 3, which is pretty close to get on the boat. Closer than you got to be to garrison something, but they got to get close to the boat.
What was the timing on that, Vince?
End of the movement phase.
Of the movement phase.
In the movement phase when the unit finishes its move. If they're finishes their move wholly within 3. Yes. So they can embark, like they can walk over, get on the boat, and the boat can go somewhere, right?
No, that's not what you said. It said that you said that at the end of the movement phase.
It's not at the end. It's in the movement phase. I meant at the end of their movement. This Skyfarer unit, it's at the end of their movement.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to say. Okay.
If they finish a move wholly within 3, they can then embark.
They get on the boat.
Correct.
The boat can still move. Nothing stops the boat from moving.
The boat can move, and then the unit can move toward the boat and then get in.
Right, correct. You could meet in the middle. They could walk to the boat, and then the boat could go somewhere. Like that's all valid plays. There is
but what you won't have is you won't have the boat move and then people get out
until you do through one of the multiple ways you have to do that. But yes, sure. By base rules. Okay, embarked units are still on the battlefield. Good, glad we clarified that nonsense. And draw line of sight from the thing they're in, of course. They're in cover and are neg 1 to be hit. Cool. They still can't contest objectives, so everybody in the boat can't contest. And embarked units cannot move. However, when the transport vessel finishes any type of move, everybody who's in it also did that move. That's the key here. So if the boat ran, they ran. If the boat charged, they charged. So on.
Going to become important later.
Yeah,
yes, it very much will.
100%. Okie dokie. So that's embarking. That's getting on the boat. If we can get on the boat, we got to get off the boat. So many rules for getting on and off a boat. Okay. I suppose you don't have to ever get off the boat. You're gonna in many games you're gonna get off the boat in a completely different way, but that's the second part of this. Disembarking. In your movement phase, if a friendly Skyfarer unit is embarked, so they got to start on the boat, that hasn't yet moved, they can get off the boat. And then they have to be within 3 and more than 3 from all enemies. And then they can still move. So, they can walk off the boat and then walk somewhere else. or balloon themselves somewhere else, or whatever mode of movement they happen to have. Okay. If a friendly transport vessel goes boom, then you do kind of what you would expect. You roll a bunch of dice. Every one, you pick a model that's slain. You don't have to roll for each specific model, which is nice. Like, you don't have to kill your... This is for my champion. This is blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not
Big change. Big change there.
You just roll each one of the models and then pick the guys you want to die.
Yep.
Oh, look, my general died because I rolled a 1. Hooray.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. If they can't be set up wholly within 3 of the transport vessel, they're slain. Wholly within 3 of the transport vessel and outside of 3 of an enemy, I should say. That's the whole rules text. I had to shorten it to fit it on the page. But the point being is that without further modification, which we will get to, there are ways to avoid this, but without further modification, if you're rolling in the standard boat and somebody surrounds the boat and then flips the boat, your unit's probably dead because there's nowhere for him to sit. That is the pretty standard outcome of this situation. If somebody can collapse, like envelop sort of about this much of the boat, generally everything inside the boat dies. That's usually what happens. Because there's just no room where to be set. Like, unless maybe it's like one hero sometimes can like get out the back, but depending. Units usually die. All right. Embarking and disembarking. Pretty non-controversial thoughts. Gentlemen, Tom, you want to start us off? Any thoughts on embarking, disembarking? This is really bothering me. Hold on, I need to fix something, but go ahead.
I mean, it's fine.
Sure.
Like, they cleaned up some stuff I still hate. Like, it seems completely asinine to me that terrain can be garrisoned and everybody counts for holding an objective, but everybody in the boat does not. Like, why? Why are we still doing this? Right? Like, really?
Because they want the boats to be tough enough. And I mean, they did make the boats tougher, defensively.
Tom, I think the answer to your question is probably because this models company doesn't want to de-incentivize putting models on the board. And if you can act normally, fight, shoot from the boat, but also control a point, why would you ever want to get your models on the board? And that's not something I think Games Workshop is interested in incentivizing.
Yeah, I mean, the real answer is because garrisoning is really strong, and this is like, super garrison that can move around. And it probably is a fair thing to not let them count toward objectives. Like, you'd have to move a lot of other things around. If you just made them count toward objectives and changed nothing else, it probably would be too strong. Like, that's the short answer. So you'd have to figure out what are we giving up to get that ability. Like, that is really the answer.
Sure.
I will say, I don't know if you mentioned events, maybe I missed it, but they do get -1 to hit and +1 save while they are in the boat, but they obviously are not garrison, but they still get those 2 abilities. They're specifically named.
Yeah, they're not actually using... They're treated as being in cover and are -1 to be hit. Yes, specifically.
Yeah.
And yes.
So, but normally when you're in cover, you're -1 to be hit as well. So are you -2 to be hit?
No, normally in cover, no. No, cover's normally just +1 to save. Cover's not -1 to be hit. If you're in a garrison, you're -1 to be hit, if that's what you're saying.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So the key being is they just didn't deploy the garrisoning rules, which is, by the way, good. Like, thank you for not calling back to those rules and then not referencing what they are, because obviously that was designed for static buildings sitting on a place, not a toot boat going around the board. So it was fine to give this its own rules. I have no issue with that, actually. It's much cleaner.
Right. But if you can destroy the boat and kill everything in it because it can't be set up, like, that seems to be the counterplay to having everyone in the boat.
Sure.
And so that's the risk that you run, is that you lose everything if the boat gets flipped. Everything.
Well,
like,
except they do have ways in here to not make that happen, but sure.
Like, but if you're surrounded and you can't set up, then
there's ways in there to make that. Yeah, it's okay. You can still.
Yeah.
There are ways to hedge against that. Like, so those would have to go away, and then that would lead to a sort of all or nothing kind of gameplay style, right? Like, you don't want to turn KO into Sons of Batman, that bad play experience. Like, here's my boat worth some enhanced amount plus 20 dudes. We count as a crap ton. I'm just going to sit here on this point, but unlike a giant, I shoot, right? And I'm going to risk it for the biscuit, and you got to come flip this thing all the way over, and either I get it all or I get none, right? And like that's what it would lead to, playstyle wise. Right.
I think the other thing to make sure that it is stated specifically, which I was trying to allude to in a attempt at humor earlier, is that it's when you embark, it's simply after making a move in the movement phase. So theoretically, you could redeploy a unit of Skyfarers toward the boat, get them wholly within 3 inches, and then embark in your opponent's move phase, because it's not specifically stated to be in your movement phase. It's the movement phase after they finish a move.
Absolutely correct. Yep. It's a great call out. Okay. Which is fun. That's fun. Now, I will say, this is the most command point intensive army they have printed. Boy, oh boy, do you want command points. Now, fortunately, they did give you like a lot of ways to get a bunch of command points, if you want to go that direction. But it is a very command point intensive army. So.
Yeah, I like to me, like, I know you said that you can be any subfaction, but because of how command point heavy this was, it seemed like there's only one real option.
Sure,
we'll
talk about it when we get to subfactions.
Yeah.
Because I think we're gonna have 3 different takes on subfactions actually, so that's fun.
Sure.
All right, let's keep going because they have more allegiance abilities. There's so many more. This is many pages.
So many allegiance abilities. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got our Articles, amendments, and footnotes. So let's start with Articles, my favorite Greek mythological hero. The way these work is you pick one of each. It's pretty straightforward now. You build your own code effectively, right? Like, what's your personal fleet's really reason for sailing, right? What's the code you follow? Okay, so Articles. You got 3 choices. Honor is everything. You rally on a 4+, because apparently we just give that away now. That's just everybody gets that now. We should just unmake that. Let's just not do that anymore. And by the way, let's just get rid of every instance of it in existence.
My first thought when I read that is, God damn, is Vince gonna hate that? That was, swear to God, that was my first thought.
I do, and you're right. It's terrible. No. Especially because it's the obvious article to pick. Like, that's my problem.
Not once per game, not one particular keyword. It's just the whole army just has a 4-up rally at all times.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it shouldn't do that. That's what we call bad, and it shouldn't do that. All right. Like, and the other 2 you're not going to ever take because, of course, you're going to take rally on a 4-up, like in a shooting army. Duh. Like, +2 to move for sky vessels is cool. It's cool. It is. I like moving farther. This is a movement-based game. It's fun. Okay.
It's solid.
But it ain't rally on a 4-up in a shooting army. Just saying.
Right, but if you're running basically all ships, no, you're not going to take 4-up rally.
You're right. If you run the full boat thing, then you'll take Master of the Skies. You're right.
It's fine. It's fine.
If you're running the full boat in like minimum foot troops, you're not taking 4-up rally.
It's fine. I will grant you your point.
You're probably taking the next one he's about to talk about.
And then settle the grudges +1 to wound rolls against a chosen enemy unit. Which is,
and
yes,
that's exactly what you would take.
That's the thing you would take if you were trying to go all big guns on big boats. But anyways, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of rally on a 4-up because a lot of these foot troops actually are quite good and useful. And Matt, one thing you said at the beginning that I definitely agree with is I do think this incentivizes you into a mixed arms type of force. I very much do think that. And we'll see how that plays out. I mean, everybody still shoots, but you know, it's bad.
Literally every war scroll shoots.
Right. Bane Nothos, are 15 Thunderers rallying on a 4+ really the end of the world? No, nothing's the end of the world. Is it a bad mechanic? Yes, it is. It very much is. Is 15 Bow Snakes rallying on a 4-up the end of the world? No. That army loses plenty. But it wins more than it loses.
You are in a different world if you're really comparing 15 Thunders to 15.
You don't pay what they pay for 15 Snakes either. Okay. But at any rate, my point is that rallying 15 good shooting troops is generally a good thing. I'm not here to play the comparison game, right? It's a strong thing that shouldn't be in the game because it makes enemy shooting, which you would normally use to try to put pressure on or remove a piece like that, completely pointless.
Is there anything stopping you from rallying from inside the boat?
No.
Love it. I love it.
Command points. That's what's stopping you from rallying.
Sure, it's as we said, command point heavy army. Absolutely. Fortunately, again, as said, you will see many ways to get additional command points. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Amendments.
And the answer is still always just engage the unit. Like engage the KO unit.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Absolutely.
But now they're easier to catch.
Potentially, yes. Always take what you're owed. This is the amendments. Start of your hero phase, you can pick one Arco unit and they count as 2 models for contesting. Cool. Good. Prosecute wars with all haste. Once per turn, you can run 2d6 inches. Okay. Warpstone Enjoyer says, is rally a bad mechanic or just 4+ rally? Rally is already a potentially bad mechanic. Every number you pip on that die, it gets much worse. Like, it is not whatever the I'm trying to think of the correct, exponentially worse. That's the word I was looking for, just because of how the math works. Okay. And then finally, trust to your guns. Once per turn, reroll 1 hit roll of 1 for an attack made by a KO unit. So once per turn, you get to reroll 1 roll of 1.
I had to read that about 4 times to actually understand it for a second.
Yeah. You shook your head, Tom. I'm taking trust to your guns every time. It's the best one in here.
Yeah, I know.
It is. It just is. It's a reroll of 1.
I disagree. I think take prosecute wars with all haste almost every time, and I think we'll going to combine it with an ability later. But more movement in this army is going to be gold.
I get why you say that, but I'm giving you my Timmy answer, which is I want to shoot with big guns, and big guns I can often make hit on 2s. And you know what sucks when you hit on 2s? Rolling a 1, which you'll probably do once per turn. So let's just not have that happen anymore. Seems pretty good to me. So that's where I live. But yeah, no, I agree. The run thing is also good. And then footnotes. All the footnotes are once per battle. And so there's no reward without risk. Once per battle, you can charge 3d6 inches with a KO unit. This is actually really, 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 really strong for various reasons we will talk about later on, but it is super duper strong. There's no trading with some people. Once per battle, at the end of the enemy shooting phase, you can shoot with a unit that got shot. Okay. Fine.
Neat.
Yeah,
Neat.
I mean,
neat.
I think it's really funny.
I think you never take that ever. But if you're taking one of the code breakers, taking Mr. Books, there'd be plenty of games where you'd book your way into that footnote, which we'll talk about later on. Because it's just like, why would you put that on your army list when it's the potential that you face another non-shooting army. Okay, great.
What army are you playing? Oh, Slaves of Darkness. Damn it.
Right. There's a decent amount of non-shooting armies running around the meta, so that thing is just going to do a lot of no work. But if I can sideboard into it, and Mr. New Book Guy does give you the ability to sideboard mid-game, so it's a great sideboard card. I'm not running it main deck, but I'll sideboard it. Okay.
And then drum roll, please.
Without our ships, we are not. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, one sky vessel can receive 2 commands. This is obviously very strong, but if you take this, I think you do almost lock yourself into a very particular build. Like, once you make this choice, you're often going to start making a lot of other choices that go along with it. But I'm okay with that. Like, it's not a bad thing. I like that there's the different paths. Like, if you want to go, we'll talk about like the chargy frigate path and that kind of a thing. Cool, you're probably taking the first footnote. and the prosecute wars with all haste, and so on and so forth. If you're going to take the I want to use like all of my commands all the time, right, sort of thing, be very mobile, like I play the skirmishy way, you're taking without our ships. Maybe you're going to take the sky vessels with the +1 to wound. Like, there are, I do like that these align with the sort of various builds and path to victories you might go down here. I think that's actually good design.
And then in the previous book, once you picked a Skyport, you were locked into all. It gave you your article amendment and footnote. And sometimes you're like, but I want to play that Skyport, but I wish I could just, switch these around a little bit. So I love this system. I love that every one of them is good. They're not always going to be the most optimal, but they're all good. There's not one that you're like, wow, you are never taking that. There's always a build for one of these.
Yeah, I think that's not wrong. Like, even the Arco one, I think has some real merit to it. I do. Because suddenly double strengthening that contesting is actually the fact that it's just a thing you do. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine a build with 80 Arco on foot, like 4 packs of 20.
Yeah, sure.
I said it.
No,
and just one of those
cheap.
Jumps to 40, right? And then one of those jumps to 40 every phase.
Right. The fact that it's just happening, right? It's not like you spend a command point to do it. It's not like it uses a resource. It's just you just do it, right? So
yeah, and cool. And if you're rallying on 4+, like having 80 of those dudes is a problem.
Sure, especially if you just pull them out of combat and then rally immediately. Like if you pull your casualties from the front line and then don't strike back. It's pretty great. Yeah. You don't always need to retreat to rally. Sometimes you can just pull the people who are within 3 inches of the actual unit and then immediately start rallying onto the backside and shooting. Yeah. It's pretty fun. Okay. Good stuff. Are we done? No, we're not. There's still... wait, it gets worse. Okay, so Iron Sky command abilities. As I said, this is sort of, well, you'll see. This is replacing a lot of other rules, old rules, I guess. So first of all, these are new command abilities. They can be issued by friendly Arcanaut admirals, but they can also be issued by sky vessels to themselves, which is a really important distinction. The boat can issue these commands to itself. Obviously, it's meant to represent like the captain, the pilot that's on the boat. That's not a normal separate model, right? Not somebody who's embarked.
Yeah.
Okay. Combat landing. At the end of the movement phase, all units embarked can disembark but cannot move. Basically, like, so you walk over to the boat, you get on the boat goes somewhere, you get off the boat. There we go. Okay. It's a forced get off the boat.
Keep in mind, it says can't move, which includes charging. So you can't combat land, not move, but then charge. You can't charge. You can't move at all. Where you land is where you stay.
Right. But it does let you very much reposition over to another place.
And shoot, more importantly.
Yeah, because it lets you pull like all your short guns into range.
Okay, and then fly high. This is how you fly high now. It's a command ability now. This is what Tom was referencing earlier, right? So Tom doesn't like it anymore that he can't just reposition his entire stupid army every round, and he doesn't like it that there's no more hitching, so he can't just like cheat and have his little balloon boys standing in the general zip code of the boat and then just reposition the whole stupid army every round. Literally the thing everybody hated about this force and that made it bad is gone, which is good. Like, and so as long as they're properly compensated with appropriate paths to victory, this is the correct choice.
No more corner deploys for you, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but this is the point, right? Is that like they basically lost their main piece, which was mobility, army wide, and so
it's
that's
still a very mobile army.
Mobile-ish. Yeah. We will see. Let's continue.
Sure. This is how you fly high, and this is how you disengage. That's I mean, end of discussion right there. These are both command abilities now. Disengage is a retreat that still lets you shoot, and fly high is you're farther, you're not currently engaged, and you want to teleport somewhere else. Notably, you can't set down on terrain features either. You have to be 1 inch from all terrain features.
And
that's important.
Generally, you can't. you can't disengage and then fly high unless you have the once per game ability. Like that's the only way to do that now.
Because you can't fly high out of combat now. You have to be outside of 3 inches. And most notably on disengage, I was really pleased to see that it lost the you can't disengage if the unit you're engaged with has fly. Yeah, again, that was one of those things where it's just like, this is a great ability, and then somebody came in with a red pen and added one little caveat that just kind of screwed it up. You have one little chain rasp within 3 inches, and that boat's not going anywhere.
Right. Like it gave you counterplay, and then now the counterplay is find a way to make sure that they can't receive commands. So the counterplay is Nurgle flies, or the counterplay is any of the other things that shut off commands. Is how you stop them from getting away.
Yep. All this, like, KO need to be afraid of, your the sort of Lord of Afflictions running around with the command trait that shuts off all command abilities within 7 inches. Like, that's a very scary
because their
thing.
entire army runs on command.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No disagreement. Okay. Good stuff. Are we done? No, now we're into the enhancements. Okay, we're finally done with the allegiance abilities. Now the enhancements. You can see them all on the screen here. Again, I won't read all of these. So instead, we're going to do our standard thing, which is to say, let's go around and talk about which ones we like. Okay. So, Matt, what's your pick out of this? What do you like?
So I get one out of the list here. Is that how?
Pick your favorite one. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna pick X Grunstock, but it's not that it's my favorite, but the reason why I pick it is because you're gonna see it a lot, because it's a command trait born out of necessity based on the rest of your army. When you're like, oh crap, I need an extra battle line. I've got a unit of Thunderers. Cool, I can make them battle line. So it's not that I don't like. I like it. It's fine. It's great. It's interesting that you can. I think this is the only instance of making a unit battle line based on a command trait, which is an interesting.
The Overbook does as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. So, I think you're going to see it a lot, and that's why I'll pick it. But again, it's not because it's amazing. It's because you need it. It's the way you make your army list work that you just cooked up.
Well, it also lets you issue a command to Grunstock units without spending a CP once per turn.
It resolves some pressure on your command points, not all of it, but that is just one area that you're going to have to worry less about that.
Yep.
Because what it would let you do is it would let, like, your admiral, assuming he's a general, issue fly high to your Grunstock gun hauler, right? Like, if you want to get it out, he can do that now.
Sure, or he can redeploy the Thunderers who jump in the boat, like the earlier.
Right,
the
or
earlier
he
thing.
can. Right, or he can give them all-out assault, or he can, like, that's the key, or unleash hell, right? Mm-hmm. Like, all of those things they're going to get for free now, because
like you will use that free CP for sure.
Yes, correct,
for sure. So no, I agree.
Yeah,
it's a very good one.
I don't disagree with you, Matt. In fact, that it was my go-to, just simply because, like, it's what I would do, because it's doing so much with so little. Because it alleviates list building pressure and stuff like that. If I weren't picking that one, it would simply be Grudge Bearer, because there is nothing I like more than multiplying damage.
Sure,
and
it takes you're probably using a very specific general with that, but yes,
right. Again, the Endrin Master with dirigible, right? Yep. And he's going to go in and become an assassin and do some work.
Sure.
I don't know, man. A 6 damage scalp hammer sounds really fun.
You're assuming he doesn't have arcane tome, and it's not 8.
So the issue there becomes, first of all, it'd become 7, I think.
Oh, 7. But
yeah,
sure.
Because of the way multiplying addition works in this game. But that being said, sure, the delivery mechanism is always the stuff with things like that. But you just ride the boat. He does this better than most foot heroes.
Yeah, he's in the boat with all the other assassins.
Yeah,
right? All the other murder people.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm a, the other. I'll say that mine my pick First of all, I also third, I guess, X Grunstock as I think being the best one on the list, but my backup would have been Cunning Fleetmaster just because I like free movement. Free movement is cool. Free movement in the enemy movement phase is pretty cool. It is a little sad. It's 12 inches away from enemies and not 9 inches away from enemies. That would be a very sort of different thing. I don't love that that's pinned to a different number than what we would normally redeploy on or whatever. Yeah. But it's fine. It's fine.
Out of sequence movement wins games.
Yep. Yeah, it's still good.
It does.
It's still good.
What I don't like about it, Vince, is that it has to be within 12 inches of the general. To me, sure. Like that's the big. No.
I assume he's on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I want my general, my admiral, closer to the front line. Like I don't want him and that whole thing. The whole purpose of it is not being near the front line.
Sure. I gotcha. Okie dokie. Let's talk artifacts. Once again, let's do the same thing. So some of these are similar-ish to their previous existence. But Matt, what's your pick here? By the way, I didn't write their whole silly names. A lot of artifacts, a lot of things, a lot of engine works have fun, silly names. I'm not against silly names. I'm just not typing all that out. So you're just going to have to deal with that, everybody. If you want the full, fun, silly name, look in the book. I love that they put that flavor in there. Please keep doing that. It's great that all the inventors of things label their inventions. I think that's wonderful and a great piece of flavor and full credit. I just ain't retyping that. Okay, Matt, what's your pick?
Oh man, there are so many great choices on this page. I'll let somebody else talk about the good one. I really the phosphorite bomblets speak to the Timmy in me. If I can just be like, hey, how many 2-ups in a row can I roll? Oh, look, I rolled the one on the first one. Sure, that'll happen. But there's going to be a game where I'm going to roll 16 or 17 and your Abhorrent Ghoul King on Terrorgeist is just bomblet into oblivion and I'm going to be living life. I could be tabled at that point, but that one little dwarf shoots off those bomblets and I'm having the time of my life. So phosphorite bomblets, and I think you're going to see it more often than you think. It's not a meme pick. It really isn't. It's you're going to see it, maybe not in every army, but fare thee warned.
Okay. Tom?
Actually, my pick was going to be bomblets as well, Matt. So I think we're right in the same headspace. And to me, the reason why it's such an interesting pick now is because that Ender Master is so much more defensible. You're so much more likely to have them in a boat and protected and not a target. And if they try to go in, they now have to deal with cover and they now have to deal with the -1 to hit, where before they didn't because he couldn't hide. And so now he's out of sight, out of mind until he pops off and lifts a piece after that boat charged in, right? That's a very real possibility. And so to me, the bomblets is the sleeper. I think Spell in the Bottle is a trap now, and I hate it because of what they did to it. So I'm never taking it.
What you mean, because it has to be a faction in the spell, or because it can't be controlled?
It's not non-faction endless spell. Get it out of here.
You mean the correct way it always should have been written?
Nope. I hate it. I hate it now. But realistically,
everyone should go ahead. Everyone who's listening to this, please make a mental note to look up anchor bias later. Please continue, Tom.
You know what? I'm an admiral. I'm okay with anchor bias.
Yeah,
and so now, but I'm going to go for the burst grenade because the burst grenade I think is the smart pick here, which is in every game, there is always one unit you have to remove. There's one unit you have to lift, and in AOS, it most of the time has a ward save. That's just true. And this gives you a 2-up, remove that thing. Sure. Remove the ward save. Which allows you to do guns free and everybody into it.
Okay.
And so I think that's the right pick, even though that's the kind of, in some sense, the boring pick.
It's fine. I still think Spell in a Bottle is very powerful. There's plenty of endless spells that are of extreme value. You can still stick in that thing, and it doesn't matter that you can't control it, because once you unleash it, there's sort of non-predatory that can have high value. You just drop them and pop them, and you're good to go. That's fine. There's some that are predatory that who cares? Like, it's whatever. And then, honestly, I think the most powerful one on this list is just the good old-fashioned Voidstone Orb, baby. Who doesn't love a Dispel Scroll? It does what it does. You're not a very magical army. There's plenty of people out there. Oftentimes, you were on the Total Eclipse train, but oftentimes most armies have one spell they're trying to cast and get away with, and this stops that one spell from happening. So,
until it doesn't.
I mean,
like,
that's fine.
Because, like, it would be okay if there was no counterplay against this, but, like, the person that's going to be casting it is techless, and if he sees you have this on your list, he's just going to push it out. He's going to make that call and push it out and shut you down.
If I can get techless to cast one spell instead of 4, I still am not sure I hate that trade.
But,
you're going to hate it when he hits everything in the boats.
Yeah, like if I can make him power out a Total Eclipse instead of like doing a Technado, I don't know. That seems an okay trade.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a trap. Like, if I want a Voidstone, I'll grab a Night Incantor.
Sure, that's fair.
Right? Like,
why not both? Why not both? Let's go classic Taco Girl here. But at any rate, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting list. Certainly. The two that don't speak to me at all are the Master Rod Armor and Blazebeard thing. So, but hey, there you go. Okay. Great Endrin Works. You get to pick one. This is your unique enhancement. Of course, there are ways to get more. It's an enhancement, so you can always take more by blah, 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 things that give you more enhancements. There's also other ways to get them. So, for example, there is one of the sub-factions will give you an additional one, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about those in just a moment. And they're distinct by ship type. Ironclad, Frigate, Gunhauler. Each has their own Great Endrin Works, just like we've come to expect. So, we'll be a little more fun this time. Matt, what's your Great Endrin Work for each boat type? I won't make you pick just one period. What's your pick for each boat? Hit me.
Well, how about we continue this trend of me stealing what Tom wants to pick?
Okay.
Let's see if I can hit the slot machine here. Regardless of what Tom picks, the battle ram for the Ironclad is just yes, I got it. The battle ram is just it's why you take an Ironclad. Okay. Combine this with the 3d6 charge footnote, and you are going to Pound Town, my friend. You slam in with an Ironclad that's on 20 wounds with a 3-up save, perhaps with guys inside to deliver a payload of pain. A pain load? No, never mind. And
a Tusk Helm, like on a hero in the boat, right?
That'll get fixed.
That works.
That will get fixed. I guarantee you. If they don't fix it, that's stupid, and TOs everywhere should, because it's not how it technically does work. And I've had this debate so many times over the past couple of days with every group chat I'm in. I pop in, I'm like, what's going on in this thread, Imperial Citizen? It's like, God damn it, another Tusk Helm debate. And it does work because the Tusk Helm doesn't require you to roll a charge roll. It only is based on how far that character moved. And so it does work, and it's a problem because if you roll triple sixes,
it's not, because you don't count. Doesn't matter. You don't count for claiming the objective, so there has to be payoff. Here's the payoff: double mortal wounds on double crazy out of the box mortal wounds on charges. When you
Nope, you're not hitting the button. Don't forget to hit the button.
Oh, I told you I was going to do that.
Yeah,
do you want me to go on? Do you want me to go on to the frigate pick?
Good. Go to the frigate pick.
So the frigate pick is, I mean, sure, fine. I mean, I don't know. There's not really one on there that I like. I'll pick the prudency shoots just because I want to envision my dwarves just like yanking the little lever on the airplane.
I'm so angry at you, Matt.
I did
2 for 2. You're 2 for 2.
I just want to envision my little dwarves pulling that lever and the little inflatable slide comes out and they're just like, woo!
They can slide right down into combat. Yeah, the prudency shoots makes it so they don't roll for slain if it's destroyed, and they can be set up within 3 inches of the enemy unit. So
It also sounds exactly like that. Woo! That's the sound that dwarves make as they go down the inflatable slide.
Yep.
That checks out.
And then for the gun hauler pick, I'm gonna pick the collapsible compartments because
3 for 3.
oh man, I nailed it. I'm sorry, Tom. The compartments are there are I think more obvious choices in the gun hauler section, but being able to stick 6 models, specifically 6 models in a gun hauler is fantastic for several reasons. 5 Thunderers and a hero.
Sure.
6 Wardens, 6 engine riggers. It turns the gun hauler from a 170 point drill cannon platform into a legitimate, intricately used piece in your army. So it's important.
I agree with that. The other one I would add is that I always used to like to do was the Underworld's Warband, which was the 5 like mixed Arco, Skyfarer, random people, and the Chemist. And so that was a unit of 6. It was 5 dudes and him who team up. And I like it. You always had to leave somebody out, right? Like if they went out, like you had to leave the hero as the 5 guys zipped away. And so I love that it sticks.
Now that you have 6, you can put all 6 of your engine masters in this absolute destructo boat. You can put all of your heroes in the boat instead of having 6 engine masters, but then leaving 1 on the ground.
I mean, but are you really going to do that instead of doing 6 heroes and like 6 engine riggers in a frigate with prudency shoots?
I guess we'll talk about that, right?
Well, Tom, you already had your picks. Is there anything else that you like? We talked about a lot of them. Are those anything else on this list you want to highlight?
Like I used to do a lot of work with the Magnificent Omniscope, the +2 move, because you would combine that with some of the other movement based thing like articles and stuff like that, and suddenly you have significant additional movement.
The Magnificent Omniscope is worth calling out. That if you're going to play, like, if you're trying to go like a boat heavy list and you end up taking the article that gives you +2 move to all your sky vessels, and you give like, your chief sky vessel this one, or maybe you pick it even as a second enhancement for another one or something, because both the frigate and the ironclad can have it. All of those units moving an extra 4 inches is that's not nothing. That is a significant jump to their move.
Notable because when we get to it, you'll see that the frigate's move doesn't degrade. So you could be at a permanent 16-inch move with the frigate.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the other, obviously the other one worth mentioning is the last word. Just simply because it is a wonderful defensive kind of rebuttal for coming in against coming in against an ironclad. Like, it is a painful response.
Yes, and it also doesn't chew up your unleash hell.
Right.
Which is what's important there. So it lets them doing that with it's another one of those sort of minor pressure valves on your command points, because it lets you shoot with the big gun without using unleash, right? Now at the same time you could or you could also just unleash on something else or whatever, and so on and so forth. I actually like the little Hegson armor plating solutions thing on the ironclad.
The first wound.
Yeah, negate the first wound allocated to this unit in each phase. Anybody who's ever played against Manfred knows that actually does quite a lot of work, because his armor of Morcar or whatever does
annoyingly so. Annoyingly.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this game that want to splash wounds around, and the fact that it's just negating a 1 wound out is nice. Like, it's just nice. So, and it takes an already pretty tough unit and makes it even tougher. So. If you're inclined to want an ironclad that survives and really just sits there and lives, it's a good way to make that happen. Because over the course of the game, it can negate quite a lot of wounds.
Yeah,
okay.
And potentially it's going to be healing as well, depending on what you have in it.
Yep. Okay. Skyports. Let's talk about Skyports, gentlemen.
This is going to be fun.
I'm gonna timestamp this because we've moved into sub factions. All right. They're all here. All 6 are here. Yes, it is just wound, not mortal wounds, though. Correct. Okay. Baraknar. I also listed what's battle line, because all of them, or the first 4, I should say, do add battle line as well. Barak Nar, at the start of your hero phase, roll a dice for each hero on the battlefield. Each 4+ gives you a CP, and this adds Thunderer battle line, which is duplicative with your Grunstock command traits, because they would already be if you have that command trait, because Thunderers are obviously Grunstock Thunderers. But nonetheless, boy oh boy, is that pretty good. If you actually have 6 heroes. And by the way, this is an army where you can pretty easily have 5 or 6 heroes, because some of most of your heroes are cheap as chips. So it's not
This
out of
is
the
what we
question.
call the Hammers of Sigmar treatment.
Yeah. So like it's not at all unusual. You could have 5 or 6 heroes. That's going to, on average yield you an extra 2 to 3 CP during your hero phase. Obviously, that's not nothing in a very CP hungry army. So yes, I agree with you. This is the Hammers of Sigmar of the lot. I think this is the strongest one. Like,
yes,
by
this is
far.
mathematically, yes, correct. Yeah, it is the right answer for 80% of the armies.
See, that feels like it's going farther than I would. What I'll say is, yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Like, there's
so
other
maybe
things I think are really good.
60% of the armies, like 60% of the armies.
I would frame it a different way, and then I want to get Matt's take on this. But here's my framing for it. Okay, this one will work and do work for you, almost completely independent of your army list. Almost. I say that because, like, if you only have 2 or 3 heroes, it's not doing basically much work, right? And so, okay, we probably look somewhere else. But I think most armies will have 4 to 6 heroes. And so, regardless of what you've put in the rest of the list, you're still going to be CP hungry. And so, like, after the, 500 points of heroes, let's say, 400 to 500 points of heroes, you're, like, this does work regardless. What I'm saying is, Tom, regardless of the percentage, what I'm saying is this works for more types of lists than any of the rest of them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's why I was putting it so heavy, is because it doesn't matter what kind of list you're running. In general, this is going to play to your strategy.
Yeah. All right, Matt, what's your take?
While I don't think either of you are wrong, this doesn't even crack my top 3.
Wow.
Which is insanity.
Madness. I love it.
I think this Skyport is really good. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't crack my top 3. I think you're both right. No matter what army you play, no matter what your army construction is, it's going to do work. You're going to need command points. This sub-faction gives you command points. If you want to play all Thunderers, then this is clearly your jam. If you want to play a Thunderer, this is clearly where you go, right? But I still think that there are much more versatile and stronger options, simply for the fact that you have so many other ways to get command points in this army.
Sure.
Or use command points for free, which are pseudo command points, right? So while it's a solid pick, I still think there's much better options.
Fair. Zilfin, the once and future king, obviously. You get an additional engine work, and frigates become battle line. It's fine.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. My response is 5 out of 10. Cool. Like,
absolutely.
It's fine.
I'm so happy I don't have to hear people call it Ziflin anymore, because nobody's taking this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Barak Zahn. I don't know whether to put the emphasis on these names, but I guess, how did they say it? Well, they were saying Baruch, right? I'm trying to think of like how they said it in Warhammer Age of Reckoning with the theme song in the Dwarflands. It was great theme. Loved fighting in the Dwarflands. Okay. At any rate, +1 to hit and wound rolls for melee weapons of Skyfarers that charged. Again, a lot of people are Skyfarers, to be super clear here. Like, this is, most of your army is going to get this that aren't
not boats.
Yeah.
Not boats.
Not boats is really the key.
When I first read this, I was like, oh, cool. Bergzon, +1 hit wound to Sky Wardens. Awesome. Kept on reading. And then a day or two went by, and I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
It's all Skyfarers. It's your heroes. It's Brock. I'm sorry, it's not Brock. It's the dirigible suit man. It's all of the Sky Wardens. It's all of the engineer. It's everybody, and it is fantastic.
the most egregious thing here, and I'm just going to call it out so we can name it. It's not that they gain +1 to hit and win. It's that everybody that's inside a boat that charged gains +1 to hit and win.
Yes.
Like
Sure.
that's what's egregious here. Like that's the combo if you're not seeing it.
Right,
This is not a bunch of foot soldiers. This is a boat going in on a big charge, and then you're going to swing with like a 9-pack of Endrin Riggers on 2s and 2s.
Yep.
-2 rend, D3 damage for like 18 and 19 attack. Like
Do you hate fun, Tom? Do you not like fun and good times and good vibes?
No.
Yeah, let me
I
say,
just described fun to you.
Yeah, no, I think we all agree. This is fun. And Sky Wardens, by the way, turns them into battle line. It is fully possible, by the by, because of the way Endrin Riggers go battle line, to have both Endrin Rigger battle line and Sky Warden battle line if you're in Barak Zon. So because they go battle line when you've got a Endrin Master.
Dirigible.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So Barak Urbaz, pick one additional article for your army, and you get Gun Hauler battle line.
We don't care. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one good article for most of the time, so I don't really need a second one. But
No,
appreciate it.
No, and the worst part about this isn't just the article. It's that you're also getting Gun Hauler battle line in the trait that makes all Grunstock battle line.
Right, because they're also Grunstock.
And so you're getting a bad ability and bad battle line because you're already getting that battle elsewhere.
Sure. I agree. Urbaz is Urbad. That just pretty much writes itself. I'm not the one who did that. They decided to call it that and then make it bad.
I'm going to jump back, by the way.
Sure.
I'm going to jump back to Barak Zon. The other piece of this that we haven't, Cygnus mentioned that the all balloon army is awesome. The other piece of this that we didn't name is that traditionally the problem with anybody that's played Endrin Riggers, like if you have experience with them, you know this. 1-inch reach is a thing, right? Like when you have a block of Riggers,
Sure.
1-inch reach on Balloon Boys is a real bitch.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Especially with new coherency rules. So if everybody's in the boat, that's no longer an issue.
Right, sure.
That's where the magic's at. It's not just that you gain all of the combat bonuses; it's that everybody gets to pile in and attack whatever they want.
100%. I would also state, Tom, that's sounds like a pretty good trade for hitching to me. So got him. All right, Barak Mornar, negate enemy commands issued within 12 inches on a 5+. Pass, hard pass. I can't pass hard enough.
What? You don't like army-wide MP evens?
Oh my god.
One, I don't like army-wide MP, but I especially don't like it when it's horribly unreliable. It's just like you're rolling around. It's gonna this is the Ristic study of sub-faction abilities. That's what this is.
Yes.
Like, hold on, I gotta roll.
Use a command ability?
Hold on, you're using a command point. Hold on, I gotta roll. You gonna pay her one?
I'm so glad I'm here.
You don't get to use that. Yeah, you don't get to use that. No, Matt, I agree with you. I think it's actually the most problematic of all. Because I think that it has against another KO army, this is on a 5+, that army doesn't get to play. That's
sure.
That's what this is. And to me, there's nothing more frustrating than that. And so in that sense, this is the new Timmy ability. This is the new
disagree. Disagree. Timmy does not like this kind of ability. No freaking way. Stay in your lane, Johnny. Listen to me.
But the dopamine release of
I didn't get to do a cool thing. Timmy likes to do a cool thing, not stop somebody else from doing a thing. Okay?
In fact, that's kind of anti-Timmy because you want to see other people do cool shit.
Okay,
correct.
So it is a Johnny.
No, this is a nobody thing, and that's the freaking problem. Stopping command abilities from being used is a Spike thing. Okay, like shutting off enemy stuff, right?
I'm so glad I'm here.
Spike also hates randomness. Correct. Hence why it's for no one. Correct.
It's a counterspell that you always get to use on a 5.
Yeah, great. I love it. This is like counterbalance is good when you can scry. This is just bad. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
It just is. It's for no one and will yield nothing. Because what are the two potential outcomes here? Okay? The two potential outcomes are this. One, I get the 5-up. You don't get to have your fun. That's option one. Like, everybody who's ever played against that Nurgle dumb command trait hates it. Nobody's like, yeah, I love playing that Nurgle stupid command trait. It's so fun not to get to do the things I want to do with my army. Great times, A+. That's option one. Or option two, you roll and don't get a 5-up and your thing did nothing. Cool. What a great light switch that is.
I want to watch the game as an aside of the players that are playing with chess clocks on this, because of the like tapping back and rolling in other people's phases.
Yeah, no,
I think great. I think this is the most powerful Skyport out of all of them. This is my number one. Now, granted, I will say, full disclosure, I was an unabashed Barak Mornar fanboy from the moment that I read their lore and their fluff, and it's my favorite Sky. It's like the Mos Eisley of Skyports. You've never seen a hive of such scum and villainy, right? And I guess it's so on point that we're arguing about this one the most, and discussing this one the most, because it's just such a Barak Mornar thing. And to steal somebody else's command abilities is also just so on theme. It hits those buttons for me. I'm a Maggotkin main. I've played Maggotkin for the last 6 years since there was a General's Handbook. So I love the coup de grace, moving that Lord of Afflictions in just the right space to just shut everything down and then do whatever the hell I want. So this just hits me in all the right places. It's my favorite.
Shutting everything down, though, Matt. That's
no, I understand.
If this was like you had a bubble that shut things down, that would be one thing. But this is, you have a bubble around things where you roll extra dice, and on a majority of the time, nothing happens.
Right.
I get that. What I will say is, if you go to a 5-round event and you can roll some 5+s, you are going to have a fun time. If
your opponents won't, but sure, yeah, that's great.
Well, I mean, hey, that shirt that's floating around that says 5 new friends, not 5-0. That ain't my life. I'll make 3 friends, and I'll hopefully go 5-0. But this is hands down not only the lore, the backstory, the fluff. I love it. I love the ability. Absolutely.
What would you rather have, this or 3 additional command points every turn?
The 3 command points.
I mean, I can do both. Because the army allows me to do that.
You can take other things. Yeah, I understand. Okay,
right.
I don't want to make this whole show about Barak Mornar. This feels like an Aethercast in the future, but I'll tell you what. Bring me on, Coach. I'll come in and argue about this thing being terrible for a 3-hour show. One more thing I'll say is that the sub-faction that you guys love the most is only an extra 15% less swingy than Barak Mornar, but I think this ability is so much more impactful. The potential is astronomical, so that's why I love it.
No, because it's all your heroes. So you're going to roll it 6 times per phase on a 4-up, as opposed to only those things within 12 inches, which oftentimes it will affect, and it'll be so. How many? Like they're not going to be issuing 6 commands, right? Every turn. Like they're going to have 1 to 2 command points, maybe 3 in most armies, and then you're going to get a 5-up on one of those on average. The difference between that. Maybe the difference is between that and rolling 6 dice on 4-ups on any of those. It's bonus command.
I love the difference of opinion here, but yeah, this is by far my favorite.
Yeah, it's fine. All good. I don't want to talk about only this for the whole show. All I'll say is I hate it when I fail a roar, and that's on a 3-up. I love things that are even less reliable on a 5-up. Sounds great to me. It's doing the same stupid thing. Okay, so and then Barak Thring. Allied Duerden priests know an additional prayer. Just Duerden, obviously keyword, so you can bring in like your little rune priest. Yeah. Which fun. I don't know if I didn't. I meant to put a pin in it. Did either of you read to know whether or not the new Regiment of Renown guy would get this prayer, the little rune lord.
He's unique. He's
right.
unique, so I don't know that.
But I don't know that matters.
I don't know.
This isn't an enhancement. It's just a static ability that's forcing something on him.
I did not think of that. I didn't think of the fact that I immediately discounted the renown thing because I thought it was. I never made the connection that it's not an enhancement and he could be given this prayer.
Yeah, it's not an enhancement. It's just something that's being forced on them. That's outside of it. It's breaking the normal rule because it's giving an ally a thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right play though. Let me just say, let me jump in and say I don't think even if it's letting him, because you're already wanting to clump him with the like he's already has a 6-up mortals prayer. Like that's already something that they're doing, right? Like that's
this
is
I think that's what his thing is.
Yeah, and you have him and 2 units, 1 shooter, 1 melee. Correct. That's going to like double their body count or whatever. And so you like that's not what you want to do here.
That's
like
fine.
What you want to do. What I'm saying is realistically what you're going to do is you're going to pull in 3 rune lords or 2 rune lords, or you're going to pull in some fire slayers and to get that priest that has all of those prayers and this prayer plus like a unit of fire slayer bodies. Like that's more realistic of what you're going to do here.
Maybe it's just an interesting overlap to me that you could do it.
You want to pair him. The key is with this, you want to pair whatever priest of whichever group that you're going to bring in. You want to pair that priest with Thunderers or Archers. And the challenge here is, I don't know. Like I think your bet, like the best bet is this is your 80 Marco list, right? Is supported and Thringy with some footprints.
Yeah, maybe
that are going to be able to toss out that prayer.
The prayer has a pretty decent range to it. Like 16 inches is pretty decent as to where he can get out and hit. And this isn't just 6's mortal. This is Cruel Boy Toxin. Okay, so it's mortals equal to the damage of the weapon, which is relevant for some of their special weapons, obviously, in those units.
Sure. Yeah,
I mean, this is probably my 3rd favorite behind Mornar and Barakzan. And you take this with the build you were talking about earlier, Tom, with Clouds of Arcanauts. Hey, you want to charge into those Arcanauts? You want to charge into that 30 block Arcanauts? Be my guest. Here come 120 shots with 60 shots. I'm sorry, with Mortals on 6s. Pair this with so many other buffs. What we're going to talk about, and Arcanauts suddenly become very deadly.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Speaking of, let's talk about some Warscrolls because we got to keep this moving. I have an early morning tomorrow to get on the road. All right, let's talk Warscrolls. This is one of my favorite pieces of art they've ever done for like all of this thing of the armor in the tube or whatever. Like it's just such a cool image. Like this is one of the original things that I thought this is just the sweetest thing. So, anyways, neither here nor there. It's just a great piece of art. Okay. So here we go. You've got Mr. Special Beardy Guns guy. It's fine. Brock. I mean, he's 220 points. He's fine. I'll let you talk about him, Matt, if you want to, but I'm going to jump to the Admiral because he's kind of the guy I really want to talk about here. The Admiral, I think, is, at 125, 3-up save, 6 wounds. Obviously, he's just got his 4-inch move. He does have the big hammer that we've previously mentioned, right? As this you can see here, these guys are Skyfarers, as we've already talked about. Like everybody's a freaking Skyfarer. If you ain't a boat, you're a Skyfarer, so he can benefit from those kinds of the things we mentioned previously. And importantly, the thing worth talking about here in his as far as new stuff goes, is his flagship. He can pick an ironclad or a frigate to be his flagship. You get to write that down. And then once per turn, this unit can issue a command to its flagship without a command point being spent. So again, we're the pressure valve on all these command points. The Admiral can issue to his particular boat. First of all, that's a cool ability. I love the idea that you get to nominate this thing as the Admiral's flagship. Like lore-wise, mechanics-wise, this one's an absolute win to me. I think that's a perfect alignment. Love everything about it, literally top to bottom. It's great. So A+ work there. And then he has his Grudge Breaker rounds. where once per battle at the start of your phase, you can pick one friendly Kharadron Overlords unit that is not a Sky Vessel, wholly within 12 of him. Until the end of that phase, improve the rend characteristic of that unit's missile weapons by 1. The same unit cannot be picked to benefit from this ability more than once per phase. And then so on and so forth. Like, he has it's these other things we previously saw. But the big rend one and the boat thing are the ones that are really, really, really important and worth talking about. Not that the other two aren't good. Bring Every Gun to Bear and Command the Skies are also both quite useful. Like, the Admiral's just a really solid utility package who can do a little bit of decent damage, who's a tough little dude. He's worth putting in a boat, and he can do a lot of stuff in that boat, especially if it's his boat.
125 points, it is just a bargain and a half for everything that he does. 100%.
Yep. Can we talk about the complete, like, design U-turn that GW has taken, like, halfway through this edition? Where suddenly they're like, no command abilities on Warscrolls. To like, hey, random non-hero, non-named hero, you get 2. And you get these other 3 in the book in the faction.
Sure. And you can use one for free.
And you can use one for free. Like, wait,
I think hold on. I want to answer this. I don't agree with your main point. I don't think this represents any U-turn. I think this represents exactly the type of design that should be in place. When they decided the mechanic for this army is command points and command abilities. That's their thing. Okay? Now, we can argue about whether or not that was the right choice. Yeah? Like, that can be a discussion. Yeah. But they decided that was the central mechanic. If so, do that and carry it through. Okay? My problem has been when they just, like, randomly... Oh, also, beast heroes have additional heroic abilities for no freaking reason. Like, why? Are they particularly heroic? Is that a thing they're known for? Right? No. Okay? Like... But, like, if a theme is carried through, if you're the monster army and you have new monstrous rampages and your monsters do special things, I'm like, yeah, hey, thumbs up. Most books don't do that. You do, because you're the monster book. Got it.
Consistency.
So the yeah, okay, maybe. So, like, this just, it feels like this should be more, like, this is not, like, it's Marshall-ish. But it is no, I mean, Bone Boy.
Sure, right? But like, I mean, when the Bone Boys come out, I would expect them to have the stacked command ability nonsense that we saw in Beast of Chaos that shouldn't be there, or sorry, Gits that shouldn't be there. Okay,
sure.
Like, that's the appropriate place for that. They should be like command ability on crack over there for OBR for Yarosir Bone Reapers, because it's the same premise here. It's a military hierarchy. Yes, the dude issues orders. Like, he's literally an admiral.
No, Vince, you got it wrong. This scared, tiny, little cowering goblin is the one issuing and driving his forces to victory.
Right. No, like, this dude, no, he's actually got a military rank. Yes, he issues commands. I'm good with it. Like, nope, the flavor's working for me here. I'm all right with it.
Like, it is just... It's surprising to me that we have so many command abilities on Warscrolls. Like, we're 2 in, right? And we've seen what? We've seen 3 on
Brock
Warscrolls.
Gets 1 and the Admiral gets 2.
Yeah.
And I know we skipped over Brock, but the adding 1 to the attacks characteristic of Skyfarers when he charges, it's powerful. It's a build. You're playing into one type of build, but it is a great build. I've seen some incredible lists with some interesting effects but I understand we're trying.
I mean, he moves Endrin Riggers to 3 attacks a model.
Like, no,
that's not too shabby.
Brock is interesting. I think there is a particular build, by the way, in Barak Nar, potentially for him, because he's only working in Barak Nar, which is a shame. On one hand, because I kind of want to put him in a different one, but nonetheless, it is a very good ability. You're right. Absolutely.
Right.
Like, I think this dude has a point and will actually see play in some armies for maybe the first time ever. So that's exciting. Right. I also like that he's a War Master as well.
Sure.
So I like when they give people like this War Master. It's a good rule. It should be used. This is the appropriate place to deploy it.
People love his mustache guns. I'm a huge fan of his top hat. Like, it's an armored top hat. Like everybody goes on and on about the mustache guns, but it's all about that top hat, man.
Well, when you've got mustache guns, it draws attention. Okay.
I use that head for my admiral.
Okay. Drakey. This dude is super cool in the lore. He's awesome. I think he's trash because I think Beric Mornar is trash, and that's where he's from. So there you go, folks. That's my read on him. Matt, as the Beric Mornar stan over here, you want to defend this dude? You taking this guy?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Okay. Couple of things. 2d6 attacks at 2 damage a pop.
Sure.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Yeah, it's a 9-inch range. There's ways to mitigate that, but still, 2d6 shots at 2 damage a pop at neg 1 rend is just really good. I love his ability to lift an artifact from a hero that he's in combat with. That is just, it's on theme. It's strong, it's powerful. He can't use that artifact. I had people wondering, well, does he get a 5 aboard if he steals somebody's? No, he doesn't get to use the artifacts. But the fact that he just like, that's shiny, I'm gonna take that. It's like it's that meme from Parks and Rec, like, oh, I like that, it's mine now. Sure. Like he's just, yeah. And then Let Me Drive with the flag. He has his own flagship that has to be a frigate. Rerolling run and charge rolls in a book where you can get 3d6 charges in a book where you can move, run, and then do bombing runs, which we'll talk about. I think this guy is great. At the very least, I was super happy there was randomly a Drekkie model on my friendly local game store shelf that I picked up.
I mean, the model is exceptional.
Absolutely.
Exceptional. Yeah.
So at the very least, he's going to be an admiral in my army. But I think Drekkie himself for 5 extra points over an admiral. You pair him with an admiral for all those other bonuses. But Drekkie is a solid pick in a Mornar army. Love him. Love him.
Okay. Cool.
2 damage boarding weapons. 2 damage on those boarding weapons.
Yeah, look at
that. Okay.
Okay. All right. Got it. No, I don't think that's why you're taking him. But sure. Okay. Endrin Master in dirigible suit. He's 170 points. He's still a guy who does what the Endrin Master in dirigible suit does, which is be very mobile and be a pretty darn okay gun platform. A fun pick for the double damage command trait, as previously mentioned. So that's not a bad thing at all. Makes him a nice little assassin for a particular hero. He can, automatically, because he's an Endrin Master, he can automatically heal up a sky vessel that he's close to at the start of the hero phase, and he makes other Endrin riggers do their thing better.
I like that that's not a command ability anymore.
Right, it just is.
It just is.
I hate how his cannon is D3 damage and all the other Aether cannons are flat 3 damage. That really annoys that feels like an editing mistake. Like they just forgot to go back and remove the D3 off of him. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be FAQ'd because I think it should, because it's just an Aether cannon that's just mounted to him. But
yeah, I mean, I'd love it if they just made it a flat 2 or something or whatever. Like, oh, it's a slightly smaller one. It's the mobile version of the thing. Like, okay, fine. I just hate D3 damage as a concept. Right, like I think because all I ever see all my dice seem to think that D3s mean 1. But yeah, he's good. Like this dude's still good, right? At 170, he's a perfectly good hero. 8 wounds on a 3-up save. Good. Was
just gonna say that. Yeah, 12-inch move, 8 wounds, 3-up save. Great bomblets holder.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like he's good in a lot of builds. I think this guy again will see plenty of play, and for what he is, I think you definitely can get the value out of him pretty easily. Okay, cool. Etheric Navigator. Now we're getting into the cheapest chips heroes aforementioned. So, still 3+ save, 5 wounds. 85 points. 85 big pointeroonies for this guy. So look out for that. He has attacks that don't matter. That's fine. That's not why you take him. He can dispel 1 in the spell at the start of your hero phase and unbind. Like he's an unbinder / dispeller. And yeah, his I'll just read through all of his abilities because this guy actually has quite a few of them for what he is, because he's Mr. Utility Hero. Read the winds. In your hero phase, you can say that one friendly unit with this ability will read the winds. If you do so, roll 6 dice, then pick one of the following effects. And so then, now we're going to get into these things. Aether Storm. For each roll of 1, pick one different enemy unit within 30 inches of this unit and visible to this unit. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Roll separately for each unit. In addition, if any mortal wounds caused by this ability are allocated to an enemy unit and not negated, have that unit's move characteristic. Quite a range, quite an ability. There is a thing that can let you re-roll these you'll never take, but it does exist. It's one of the command traits. We kind of blew over it, but it does exist. And then favorable conditions for each roll of 6. Pick one different friendly sky vessel within 30 inches and visible to them. That unit can make a normal move of D3 plus 3 inches. Roll separately for each sky vessel. So fun. He can actually splash around some good mortal wounds. So, which is not bad.
I love that you get to roll the dice and then pick. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to commit beforehand. So if you happen to roll a bunch of ones, well, you know which direction you're going, or so on and so forth, right? Yeah.
I wonder, because this is a normal move, I guess your additions to the movement characteristic isn't going to... but like, I like off, out of phase movement.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Again, moving all your boats around an average of 5 inches. That's what's happening in the hero phase, right? Not all your boats. Moving some number of boats.
Per each 6, yeah.
Yes. Moving some number of boats. 1, maybe 2 boats around. Let's be fair to what actually is going to happen here.
Yeah.
Unless you roll out the box. Is not bad. Because you're right. Out of phase movement, generally a good thing. Or splashing around 1, 2, maybe 3 if you get lucky. Mortal wound splashes. Yeah. Also not bad. And, because you also have their move characteristic. So that's pretty good.
This guy is an excellent tome holder, in my mind.
Sure.
Because he's already in this utility caster role, and so just give him another reason to be there without taking up any of the artifact slots of the other heroes, like your bomb holders and stuff like that.
Sure.
So this is a great little book holder.
Yep. All right, the Code Right Bookman, new book guy. Here he is. 3 up, save, 5 wounds. Again, he has attacks that don't matter because that's not his purpose. He's a guy with books.
He hits you with the Battletome. He hits you with his book.
It's correct. Yeah, look out for, obviously, a guy hitting you with books, not the melee threat, but it is fun. But this guy does actually have some pretty fun stuff going on with him. I actually think this dude is pretty solid for 90 points. I think you will see this guy in some armies for sure. First off, advisory roll. Start of your hero phase, if this unit's within 6 inches of another friendly hero, roll 2 dice for each 4 up. You receive 1 command point. So we talked about the command point pressure. This is a way to get sort of an average mathematically of 1, but obviously you can spike into 2. Sometimes you get 0, blah, blah, blah. I do like that he just has to be near another hero. Doesn't have to be near your general or something like that, like the city is a Sigmar. He just has to be near another hero, potentially in a boat with another hero. That would be fine. He is, as per all of these guys, a Skyfarer. And then I think you'll find, which is a very fun name for an ability. The only way it could have been better is if they called it actually.
Actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
That would be the meme name, right? If they had GW, if you had any guts at all, you would have called this ability actually.
Do it or no balls.
That's right. Okay. No, but this is a fun ability. You can carry out the following heroic action with this unit instead of any other heroic action you can carry out with it, and you can search for precedent. Go ahead.
Honorable mention would have been let me be.
Sure. Oh my goodness, then this definitely would have been you. People are already saying this is you in model form, so I think that would have made it 100% you. That would have really been, that's like a Teyrathi level inclusion if they had said, let me be clear.
That would have been a little bit on. Yeah.
So you roll a die. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 to 3, you get a new footnote to apply to your army until the end of the battle. On a 4+, you can pick a new footnote or a new amendment to apply to your army until the end of the battle. You can't pick a footnote or amendment previously picked for your army. The new footnote or amendment replaces your current one. So let you swap around. This is your mid-game sideboarding, like I said.
Yeah.
And you've got a pretty, like I said, that footnote happens on a 2-up. So that's quite reliable. And I think that's a pretty solid ability given the things I talked about in footnotes. I don't know how often I'm really wanting to switch my amendments. I don't really care, but it's neat that if you happen to roll the 4+, you could do both. So, great.
Yeah, all 3 of the footnotes are once per game. So you pop your 3d6 charge, and then you're like, cool, I'll just move on to the double command point. I need it this turn. And yeah, he's just for 90 points. 90 points.
Very solid little hero. By the way,
another honorable mention for the Arcane Tome Carrier.
Of course,
and
yes.
somebody else that you could, I would easily take and put in a boat with the navigator away from combat.
Sure. One thing I'll say about this guy, and sort of you talked about trend lines in book design. This I see as an absolutely positive trend line, which is heroes that are just there to be like average utility heroes are finally getting pointed correctly. Right? Sub 100 points. When they literally don't fight, are moderately survivable, and have a useful thing they do. Correct. Sub 100 points is right. That's where we should be.
A guy who smacks you with the book that he's holding doesn't deserve to be 120 points unless he does some insane ability.
Agreed completely. Yeah. And by the way, I would say the same is true if you're talking about a combat hero with minimal utility. They should be pointed even lower because they don't actually do anything. So, yes. All right. Cool. Let's keep going. All right, so now we've got our actual Endrin Master and our Aether Chemist. This is the Endrin Master on foot and the Aether Chemist. Again, 2 very cheap heroes. The Endrin Master at 90 points, the Aether Chemist at 80 points. The Aether Chemist being notable because he has the 4-up save instead of the 3-up save. And then, yeah, I know the dogs are whining. I'm very sorry. My wife has apparently just forgotten that she came home, and this is what that's going to cause. So here we are. I'm currently trapped here. At any rate, so they're both good. They do. Matt, I'm gonna let you take these guys. What role do you like for these guys?
For which one? Are you talking about the Endrin Master?
Either one of them. Matt pick one, Tom pick the other one. I'm gonna let you guys go. Matt, you go first.
Okay. Well, I'll go with the Endrin Master. Every KO player has 1 or 2 rolling around these guys in their bits box. Go pull them out, put them on the base, paint them up. It's a great model. He makes Engine Riggers battle line, and he doesn't even have to be the general.
Correct. Not by being the general. He just has to exist in the army. Yes.
It's such a great nuance there, because you want your admiral leading your fleet. You don't want some, engineer who's in the back room. Yeah, no problem. You don't want some engineer in the back room leading your army. You want the admiral. So just the fact that he can, if he's in the army, Engine Riggers or battle line, awesome. I'm a little sad that he lost his stank eye shooting ability. It was so fun. It was just great. It's a little sad, but the ability to take your boats and allow them to not necessarily fight at their top bracket, but use the abilities that bracket will come in very handy when we talk about that later. I think this guy has several really good things going for him. He's not amazing at combat, although he has 3 attacks at 3 damage. So you can't, he's going to slap. One of these times he's going to pop off for 9 damage. You're just going to roll for all your hits. There's utility there with the II captain. There's utility there with making Engine Riggers bat. He's just a solid piece. And what is he, 90 points?
90 points, yeah.
There's just nothing to complain about. I'm not writing home about him, but I'm not complaining about anything that he does.
Sure.
But when you're in a 6-hero suite, are you mixing this guy in rather than getting redundancy with other heroes?
I mean, hey, if you want bomblets and you don't want to pay 170 points for the dirigible dork, put this guy in, and all of a sudden now you're like, oh, cool, that unit of riggers is battle line.
You decided that after them whining for 10 minutes, coming back was the right answer? Okay. Okay, sure, thanks.
Who's
Hi.
This is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi there.
Oh, it's Tom.
Yep. Okay.
Hi, little Tommy Lions.
I was gonna say, listen to the disappointment in the voice.
You had a good
Always,
time?
always.
Good.
I'm continually a disappointment.
Are you dismissing me?
Yes.
Yes. She didn't hear that.
You can look sad all you want.
So
I love you.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Aether Chemist. Like, my problem with the normal Endrin Master is, like, I don't know in a world where I fit him in over trying to find the extra points for the dirigible Endrin Master.
All right. Well,
Like,
That's
that's
fair.
where I'm at.
That's fair.
And so that's my struggle. I mean, I like the 3 attacks at 3 damage. And I like melee boats, so I don't know. Like, I'd have to think about it, but like, I think I would often struggle to find a place for him. I like the Chemist. Like, I still like the Chemist at 80
What do you
points.
like about the chemist?
I like the etheric augmentation, even if it's been FAQ'd. I like increasing rend. It's still good.
Yep. Increasing rend, very good, I would say.
Almost always, this is not a bad thing.
Yep.
Like, I hate that you can't be embarked with it.
Sure.
But them's the breaks, right? Like, that's just one consequence of this. It stacks with the bonus rend from the Admiral too, right? So, like, you could feasibly push a unit to -2 rend from 0. So, like, that big block of Arco company, right? You could, like, push all their ridiculous pistol shooting to -2 rend if you want.
Maybe this chemist throws out a purple sun, and all of a sudden you're shooting at something with effective -3 rend.
Yep. I mean, maybe.
A free purple sun, I might add.
It's true.
Yeah, maybe.
And then yes, obviously he's got his little atmospheric thing.
Yeah, that doesn't
where
matter.
that's- I understand that.
That doesn't
But he's-
matter, and it really has never affected anything.
I understand. I'm just he has his little -1 to hit mini bubble.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, you're taking him for again 80 points. You're taking him for the augmentation because +1 rend is really strong in this game. Like, it's a super strong ability. Yes, it sucks that you can't be embarked, but there's plenty of builds where that is completely viable, right?
Right.
Especially if you're executing the command to just dump people from the boat at the end of the thing, depending on how you've got the setup. So
I do love how his ability to give rend is in the shooting phase and not in the hero phase.
correct.
Because
Yeah.
it's just you can
dump
get
him and then buff.
exactly, and it's so much easier to get in and out of the boat in this book. So the chemist hits on everything. Tom, I don't disagree with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Cool.
he's 80 points. Like, I know it sounds silly, but, like, there's a gap between 80 and 100. Like,
No,
that's
there's
a real-
100. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a gap. Yes, I completely agree. All right, Arco. They're 100 for 10. They're a battle line unit. They're 1 wound guys with a 4-up save and a 4-inch move, and they still have their little pistols. And you can still replace a ridiculous number of their weapons with other little weapons because, again, these are taking 40k units. But you can do it. And then they get those little different weapons, and they do little different things. The important part about this guy, about these guys, about the Arco, is, first of all, they're your static, always-on battle line unit, of course. As mentioned, though, there is quite a lot of battle line play in this based on subfaction taking the Endrin Master and so on and so forth, which either Endrin Master can unlock, taking the command trait that opens up all the grunt stock. So the old world of, like, oh, the problem with KO was that you always had Arco as battle line and it was your only option is long dead, and I think we can all celebrate that. That is a great thing. You very much can build this army in the way you want to play it now. While this unit isn't embarked, you get to add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target a unit contesting an objective. Not a bad thing at all, I will say, because that's just hit rolls for attacks. That counts in both shooting and melee.
Yeah, and if you can do a combat drop and push like 20 of these guys out of like an ironclad, they're going to set up within 3 of the boat, but you're going to basically move everybody. Like the boat's going to, like, you're going to move everybody within pistol range, right? And so like they can, like, dumping them outside of the boat then puts, if they're shooting onto somebody on an objective, like you're going to get 40 shots. Or not 40, you're going to get like 36 or whatever, plus then all of your Gatling gun shots, plus your light skyhooks, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Yeah.
No longer do you
yourselves
have
in the pistol smoke. Go for it, Matt.
Yes.
No longer do you have to debate whether to leave the sky pike off and just take the extra 2 pistol shots, because that sky pike is money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
like it.
Yep, they're good. Like, good, solid 100-point battle line. I don't know what else to say. Like, it contributes to my belief that this is a fairly pointed army. I look at those guys, I look at their capabilities, I look at their general durability and stuff, and I go, yeah, that's 100 points. That's the correct amount.
And I could put, like, I can imagine a world where I put like 80 of these guys in an army.
Sure. Like, it is a battle line unit with a good function and role and good other options in the army to build on them if you want, as the aforementioned contest as though you're 2 and so on and so forth that we talked about. So
right,
yeah,
very viable build. Absolutely.
Yeah,
like A+ work on this battle line. I wish I looked at all battle line and went, yeah, okay, good, great. All right, the Ironclad, big boat's 500 points for big boat. Big boat has its guns. Let's talk about relevant things on big boat. Still a 3-up save. 20 wounds though now. Remember, the boat can issue the special commands to itself. That's true for all the different sky vessels. Now, important things to note. As a transport vessel, this keyword that these things have now, because you're not a skyfarer, you're a boat. You're either a person or a boat in this army. It can hold 22 Skyfarer models. And one of the things I do particularly love, okay, is one, we got rid of the whole overloaded, this is how many we can hold, now this is how many we can overload nonsense. Just stop it. Please stop it. That was an excellent cut of unnecessary complexity. That was such a weird, silly thing. Thank you for getting rid of that. I also enjoy that if this unit is part of an army that is not a Kharadron Overlords army, it can still use the Skyfleet's battle trait. That's fun. So that's a cool thing. And it counts as 5 models now for contesting objectives. So it gets to be a monster in contesting, though it still isn't a monster. Like, it can't roar and do all those things, but it contests like a monster now, which is good. That's a big change. Going from 2 to 5 is meaningful.
It's a 500 point unit.
I understand.
I hope that it counts as 5.
It's still a good change.
Agreed.
It's a good change. It's a trend in the right direction. I think when we talk about the frigate, which also has the count as 5 rule, I think the Ironclad should have counted as 10.
Sure, I could see that argument.
And I say that because the frigate has another rule, which we'll talk about, that gives it a defined role. The Ironclad, if it counted as 10, now has a defined role. It is a slower moving, more shooty platform that can sit an objective counting as 10, maybe combat disembark some dudes for a couple extra bodies, but it has a specialized role. The Ironclad, for me, except in a couple builds, isn't worth it over 2 frigates, and I'm happy to pay the extra cost for having 2 frigates over 1 Ironclad. It's a little unfortunate because I have 2 painted, but what are you gonna do?
I don't know. My read on the Ironclad is maybe 500 points is a little too high, but not much. Okay. Like, it's your battleship. It's a battleship that can hold a bunch of dudes, so whatever. But it's meant to be your sort of gun platform thing, because it has, its shots are good, I mean, like, they just are. I love that if we pop the shell now, it's D3+3. Like, if we're going that direction, as opposed to using the shrapnel because of range or whatever, that's a nice thing. The bomb racks themselves, now obviously it's harder to use this unless you're going into the Sky Vessel bonus move build, right? But we should talk about bomb racks because it's going to come up later on the frigate too. After this unit finishes a normal move or a run, you can pick one enemy unit that this unit passed across and roll a number of dice equal to the bomb rack's value shown on this unit's damage table. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. This ability has no effects on units that can fly. So I guess Nighthaunt just can't be bombed. Congratulations, Nighthaunt. As usual, you managed to ignore rules. I think the challenge is why I don't think it's 500 points is I just don't think it's actually 500 points of guns, basically.
No, it's not doing enough damage
right
on its own for 500.
I agree.
But if it counted as 10, I could accept that, right? Because you're at least, and the cannon is a straight downgrade. It was flat 6. Now you're hoping to roll that 5 or 6 so you can. So that's my problem. It gained some utility. It didn't gain enough compared to other things in the army that gained a lot.
It's fair. It has a supremacy mine too, and like it can do some mortal wounds when people
that they took away in the second book. There was no supremacy mine in the second book, and they gave it back to us.
Yeah, so it's cool. It can do some mortal wounds when it gets charged. But I mean, it is still it's a gun platform that can move a lot of people around the battlefield, right? Like that is
like
true.
your best bet. Like this is your big gun. Like this is your 15 Thunderer platform. Like that's what this thing is that this brings guns to bear, and the value is not in the boat's guns, but in the guns that the boat's gonna.
Yeah,
or on the charges of the melee attacks that you fit into this
with the battle ram,
and a 3d6 charge. So it could combat teleport out 9 3d6 charges.
Also, we should state on the big cannon, yes, it's D3+3, but it also gets 2 shots with the shell.
Correct. It's not
as opposed
just
to 1
anymore.
Very fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. Now, all in all, if this thing was 450, I think that's actually the right points for it.
It's about 10% overcosted in my view.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think the bones of this thing, it's still one of the boats trying to play a little bit of dual role. When we get to the frigate, we won't have this problem. The frigate has such a more defined role. The Ironclad's still trying to be like the flagship that can do, multiple things. So that I think leads to part of the challenge.
The Ironclad should have been a totem as well. I just think that would have been such a huge win as a big flagship and it should have been a totem. Small thing, small nitpick. So
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. All right, cool. Let's look at the frigate. So the frigate is 300 points, and remember, it's battle line in Barak Zilfin, which you're probably not taking, so hey, whatever. 3 up, save 15 wounds now. Transport vessel capped at 12 models. And then it is an assault boat. By the way, this thing counts as 5 as well for contesting objectives, so just important thing to note there. But assault boat. After this unit finishes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit and roll a number of dice equal to the ramming dice value shown on this unit's damage table, which starts at 8 and then goes down to 5. You already noted it earlier, but this thing does not have a move value on its wound chart, so it always flies at 12 inches, which is highly valuable. So for each 4+ that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound, then you can pick any friendly units embarked in this unit to disembark. Units that disembark in this way must be set up within 3 inches of an enemy unit and count as having made a charge move. In addition, in the following combat phase, the strike first effect applies to units that disembarked in this way. Boy, oh boy, assault boat is doing work. All right. And again, this thing's guns are okay at best. Let's be completely honest here. It's fine. It's got some guns. They're okay. But that is the point of this boat. At 300 points, it's absolutely doing a role. And that's delivering people into combat, popping them off, and making all of those units ASF. Right? Very, very, very strong ability.
Which is really good for riggers and wardens that don't like to take punches.
Absolutely.
You know, like this solves that problem. And you could go MSU because this is any units. So it could dump like a bunch of units out rather than just one unit, right? And they're all gaining ASF.
Always true. Absolutely. And your Admiral that pops out, or the Engine Master that pops out, and or the Chemist that pops out, and now suddenly he's got a 3-inch bubble of -1 to hit. You know, and there's no you're not forced into taking a block of 9 Wardens or Riggers. You can take 3 blocks of 3, and there's no downside except for, you know, the all-out defense isn't affecting, or the all-out attack isn't affecting, you know, all 9 dudes. So it's just such a good rule. It's such
and this
a good
obviously
rule.
works really well with all the enhanced movement stuff, so you can fly over and drop your bomb racks on the unit, then drop back to 3 inches after they, you know, so on and so forth. Like, you know, you kind of Tokyo drifted so they can't pull enough casualties to make your charge harder, and their only choice is to try to redeploy away from you. It works well with the 3d6 charge that we talked about earlier. Obviously, that's a huge win here.
Can it have the 3d6 charge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Footnote.
Like I was thinking about your slide, but yeah. No, it was
No, it's a footnote. Yeah.
So you fly over something, drop bombs, stay outside of 3, then you charge in, then you ram, and then out pops 9 engine riggers, maybe with Brock, who are now all suddenly 3 attacks apiece or whatever. I mean, you could pop out. It's so great. It's so versatile, and it's just a great rule.
Sorry, I was thinking about the Zonbar Core battle ring. That's the other piece that I was thinking about. That is Iron.
Sure. Yeah, that's only for the Ironclad, and that's the engine work. Yeah.
The cannon is still D3+2. There's not a huge loss in damage from the Ironclad to the frigate. Yeah. So you're going to see a lot of these. That's why I got 3 of them out of the closet, and I'm currently painting them.
Yep, frigates are awesome. Yeah. Like no diggity, no doubt. Okay.
I have two, and I like what they do.
Sure.
I hope they lower the Ironclad and don't raise the points on the frigate, because all of a sudden the distance between the frigate and the Ironclad, I hope they do the right decision.
No, I agree. I think 300 feels appropriate for the frigate right now. Like I don't actually think that's overcosted. I think the
15, the 3-ups, moving from a 4 to the 3-up save was
huge. And gave 3 extra wounds, Tom? It was 12 in the old book.
15,
and the Ironclad only gained 2 and kept the 3-up save. Now, if the Ironclad counted as 10 or went to a base 2-up save, which I don't think sounds as crazy as it would have a couple of years ago. Now you have more defined role for the Ironclad. Again, I'm wish listing on a book I just got full of great stuff. So
sure, no, I understand. Look, when they redo cities, if the steam tank isn't on a 1-up, we riot. 1-up.
We ride at dawn.
It is a tank. These are boats. I get it that they might I can buy a boat being on a 3 or 2-up, like on a lower save, because yes, it's super tough and it's made of steel, but it's also got sensitive parts because it's trying to remain in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is a tank. It is a thing of metal driving around on the ground. It should be the toughest thing around. I'm sick of a stupid dinosaur being that much tougher than a tank. Tanks beat dinosaurs, okay? I've seen the movies. They made a lot of those in the 80s. All right. Now, the gun hauler, 170 points. 12-inch move, 10 wounds, 3-up save as well. Again, he has... Yep.
Let's say that 3-up save.
Doing work on 10 wounds with a unmodifiable 12-inch, or not unmodifiable, but an undegradable 12-inch move.
Yep, absolutely. Yet again, we've got the same sort of breakdown on the Sky Cannon if you're going that direction, so on and so forth. It does still have, of course, its drill cannon option if you want that big -3 rend. And then it still has its ahead full, where once per battle at the start of your movement phase, you can say this unit will move ahead full. If you do so, add 6 inches to the move characteristic during that phase. I always found this to be an incredibly valuable rule in all the gun haulers that I ran. because like sometimes moving 18 inches is just really valuable. Like even in the world where you could teleport every round, I often found just needing to move 18 in a certain round highly, highly valuable, because sometimes you just need to be there. And then other sky vessels get a War to 6+, of course, still. So it's still the protection boat. It's the little boat for your other boats. And the little destroyer runners or whatever they're called, cruisers. I don't know Navy boats, but there's, it's like a fleet. Fleets work in a certain way. There's like 2 aircraft carriers, and then there's a bunch of boats around it, and boats do stuff. I don't know. It's like everybody has a job. And then it still has bomb racks as well, but it's only 4 dice. They don't have a monster table, obviously, because it has no degrading table. So it's just 4 up.
I like how the carbines are now 2 damage in line with all the other carbines, and they don't hit on 4s. They're just less of them, but they're not any less powerful.
Right. So yeah, perfectly fine thing.
175 points for 10 wounds and a 3-up save that moves 12s and does mortal wounds. Like, great unit. Great unit.
Again, cheap enough that it's good. Okay. Boom. Who do we have here? Thunderers. There we go. Sorry. So Thunderers have a 3-up save now, which is very exciting. And they're Thunderers. They do what you think they do, which is Thunderer things, which is have way too many weapon profiles, and you go like this. This is playing against somebody who isn't super experienced with their KO army. Okay, got this guy. Okay, this guy's got D6 shots. Okay, and I watch them take 5 hours to resolve a single weapon's attacks. I love it. What's not to love? So, but no, I mean, like, the mortar, important notes here about their individual things. Your little Grunstock mortar. I started reading it, and I was so excited. And then I finished reading it, and I was not. The attacks characteristic of a Grunstock mortar is equal to the number of models in the target unit to a maximum attacks characteristic of 5. Boo. But whatever.
I mean, it's still fine.
It's
right?
still fine.
Because in a unit of 15, you could pull 15 attacks out of those 3 guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Your little fumigator does. Just straight mortals, but obviously it's fine. And
no, it doesn't. It doesn't do straight mortal.
It does in the combat phase.
In the combat phase, it does straight mortals.
Correct. Like it auto hits. Like, so the shooting auto hits, and then in the combat phase it does mortal.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it auto hits. I think its shooting attacks are almost so completely underwhelming that I'm taking this thing because I want some of the extra mortals.
No, I hear that, but okay, you have 3d6 shots that are auto hitting, right?
You're saying in like a unit of 15?
Of 15,
like
right.
Okay.
Right. In a unit of 15, you have 3d6 that are auto hitting.
Yep, 10 auto hits.
And they're gonna wound on 3s.
Sure. So you get we'll be positive you get 7 wounds.
You get 7 wounds. There's no rend base.
Sure.
But something like this is a great target, right, for all of those rend boosters.
Sure. No, that I will agree with. Depending on how you stock and block, and especially I don't mean to understate Thunderers. I think Thunderers are actually super high value in this new book with multiple sources of rend improvement, with the trick to redeploy and then jump onto boats, with there's just a lot of versatile ways to use these guys actually in the new book.
And they're gonna crap out you're going to crap out mortals in a really weird way, because it's not just the choking fog. You're also getting the drill bill mortar, which I know is silly, but you're actually doing multiple mortals, right?
I get you.
They're not going to fight.
Yeah, I just look at that same thing and go, man, choking fog, if I've got 3 fumigators in melee, that's actually pretty sizable.
I mean, I don't know if it triggers 3 times.
I don't see choking fog on here. I see choking fug.
Yes.
But
No,
does
you're
that
probably
trigger
right.
three
It
times?
probably does only trigger once. No, you're probably right. I was thinking it was just.
It says at the end of the combat, you can pick one unit.
One unit. Yep.
In this.
No, it does. You get all three of them because you pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of a model in this unit. Oh, wait a minute.
Right,
3
like
inches.
so.
That's a good question.
My question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The first time I read it, I was like, definitely you get 3. Then I read it again, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Did I read it wrong?
Yeah, I don't know that you get 3 ticks of this if you have 3 of these guys. That would be my concern. I think you should.
You can pick one enemy unit within 3 inches of a model in this unit that is armed with.
Excuse me.
It's so convoluted, but Vince, you're so close to getting to the best one. You're so close.
That's fine. Suppressing fire, is that what you're going for here?
No, the Aether Cannon, my friend. The Aether Cannon.
Oh, sure.
Flat 3 damage, 18-inch range. It's just 2 up to wound. Just
up from 9 inches.
Yes.
Yeah. The range is highly appreciated.
Gun. Yeah.
Because cannons and pistols generally shoot the same distance, from what I understand about. I'm no gun guy, but that checks out. But no, now it's 18-inch range, flat 3 damage. So good. I mean, the way I see you properly build these guys, if you take a 5-pack with the Aether Shot rifle, with the Aether Cannon, and if you want a Fumigator in there for some chip damage at the end of the combat phase, fine. But like rifles and a cannon, and you still get 10 cannon shots because the champion gets an extra 2 shots on his rifle. Just 135 points, maybe a touch overcosted because those rifles still wounding on 4s. But I'd be much more. I'd feel much better about my investment if they were 130 as opposed to 135. Especially since they'll probably be 130 anyway because GW is getting rid of all their 5
points. Yeah, so they'll probably go to 130 and whenever that happens, assuming like a summer GHB or something.
Sure. So the Thunderers are your shock troops. You fly high or you move, you drop them out, you shoot whatever on an objective, and now you've got 15 models on an objective and there's nothing else in front of you because you shot at the bits.
Yeah, I agree.
On 2 wounds a model, 4 up save. Like that's not shabby.
3 up save.
3 up saves, sorry.
They go with the 3 up saves.
Yeah, it's great.
They did go for 3 up. Yeah. I mean, I will say I'm not a real big fan of suppressing fire just because I hate the friggin' dice games, the bravery.
No, I understand. I thought you were going to try to defend suppressing fire, which I think is actually like a completely overwrought, unnecessary ability.
You can forget it exists if you want to. It's not going to.
100%.
Yeah.
You could just say it should just be if they did damage to a unit.
Right.
Sure.
I love that they're trying to bring
until
in
the next time it's -1 to hit.
Keep this 40k crap out of my game. Stop trying to you're trying to backdoor in pinning rules. Like I don't need it. I don't want it. Okay.
Go to ground.
Yeah, it just doesn't need to be there. I agree. I think Thunderers are highly valuable solely because they actually even a pack of 10 of them built as you described, right? At let's call it 260, 270, whatever it ends up at, right? Right. I think puts out extremely solid damage that can only get better with all of the different buffs you have available to you in this army.
I saw Jeremy Vessier, a noted KO player, put 3 packs of 5 Thunderers in a couple of boats, just tossing them in any extra spaces he had in a sharpshooters battalion and just picking off Galatian champions left and right.
Sure.
Great little UC with a flat 3 damage Aether Cannon that's 2s and 2s maybe with some peppering with some rifles here and there. I mean, you can use these guys in a multi. You could do an Alexander Kron deploy and delete 3.0 where you put 20 of them in an ironclad. You can whatever you want with them. They're a canvas for you to paint your masterpiece with your enemy's blood.
I agree. Thunder's solid. Okay, now let's talk about Endrin. Let's close it out. We'll talk about Endrin Riggers and Sky Wardens here, and then we'll be done.
Save the best for last.
I love an army with no terrain and no endless spells. Molto bene. Get rid of that crap. We don't need it. Okay. Seriously, that's not a joke in any way, shape, or form. It's one of the reasons I hate terrain and I hate endless spells for army-specific endless spells. Fire them all off the roof. Okay. Endrin Riggers are 120 for 3. They have 12-inch move, 4-up save, 2 wounds. Our classic balloon boys. And they still do very much balloon boy things, which is be pretty scary. Kind of mostly in melee, but can be decently good in shooting too, of course.
Rend 2 rivet guns. Rend 2 rivet guns.
Sure,
Yeah.
one damage, but yes, they are Rend 2, which is good.
No, I mean they just increased the rend. Like that's all they did,
I
and those
understand.
guns already did work.
It's not bad at all. Like, the problem with Endrin Riggers to me was never their damage. They still have the Rend 2 Aethermatic Saws that and all that. Like they can still get.
Well,
in there
they doubled the attacks.
2 attacks now base, which is a huge deal.
They did go to 3 up to wound. They were 2 up to wound, but hey, fine, okay.
Yep.
But I can get +1 to hit and wound on charge now.
You can.
No, that's only on Sky Wardens. Oh no, it's not.
Yeah. Nope.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Emergency field repairs. Great rule. So,
I think they just further weakened Ender and Master shooting, like the mixed guns, to the point where I don't see a reason to take mixed guns in it. Like I was a big like mobile shooting platform, like the big block, a buff big block for a mobile shooting platform. To me, these guys are just melee, like they're just melee swinging all the way.
Yeah, you're
Like,
building
that's
these
their
guys
purpose.
with rapid fire rivet guns and saws, right? Like that's
Like
that's the build.
that is how you run them now. Yes, correct.
it was nice when the weapons were flat 3 because I don't know, I'm a sucker for just flat 3 damage weapons,
Sure.
even if it's. But I think there is a great case to be made for taking the grapnel launcher because if it includes any models armed with a grapnel launcher once per battle, at the end of your movement phase, you just pick a terrain feature within 15 inches and then you just pick them up and drop them within 3 inches at that point. And I see no reason why you can't do this from inside of a boat. I see no reason.
You can't move. Because you can't move. The wording on the boat says that you can't move when you're embarked. And
This isn't a
you
move.
can't do-
This is removed from the battlefield.
Yeah, and reset up. It's an FAQ question. I actually think whether or not you take the grapnel launcher almost rests completely on this FAQ question. Right? Because,
Correct.
first of all, in a unit of 6, I'd probably throw the one onto the grapnel launcher anyways, just to have that option.
Right.
But if I can do it from a boat, if I can rip myself off the boat and do this, which, by the way, I don't think is insane. Like, I don't think that's, like, crazy. They're on the deck of the ship. They shoot off and go. Like, like, I don't have some kind of lore problem with it. So, like, if that gets answered with an FAQ of yes, you can grapnel off of boats, then I'm pretty hot on grapnel launcher at that point.
I mean, you fly high
Even
across
though-
the board, and then you
even
pick
though
up.
you
Sorry,
can't-
go ahead, Tom.
Even though you can't end within 9 of an enemy.
Sure. That's fine.
Like, you're still having to set up outside of 9 of an enemy.
That's
Yes,
a fair point.
But
Like, to me, like, I don't... So, if you're giving up 2 melee attacks and 3 shooting... I mean, I guess technically you're getting the grapple shooting.
You can ignore that. It's gravy damage. You know, it's if it
Yeah,
happens.
But that's what I'm
yes.
saying. Like, you're giving 2 melee attacks and the 3 rivet gun shots for a once-a-game move that, like, I don't know... Like, I'll say this. Once a tournament, it might be relevant. I don't know that's going to be relevant every game.
yeah, I don't know. I like, again, extra free shenanigan-y movement in this game generally pays off a high value. That's what I look at it. It's like, to me, it's the same thing I always think about, which is you win games in AOS by increasing your optionality and being able to play your routes. And this gives you one more interesting option. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it. Although I do think the boat thing matters a lot, because if they can't use it from on the boat, then it highly reduces how often I'm going to be able to employ this thing.
Sure, because they have to be on the battle before you can, or on the battlefield physically before you can use it. But man, yeah, if you can move with the boat, you know, whatever, 12, 10 inches then pop off 15, I guess 18 technically, because you get to go within 3 inches of that point, 9 from enemy units. And then that still doesn't stop you from shooting and charging. So you could yeet yourself over the enemy lines on the terrain feature and then charge from the back while the frigate or ironclad charges from the front. It opens up so many options. It's a great desecrate, desecrate their lands getter for battle tactics. Yeet yourself onto an objective. I mean,
think of the very far side objectives in the one mission that you're trying to get to.
100%.
When you have the tiny deployment zone here, something like that, just being able to like shoot those guys over and still probably hit their army on the side, like with your shooting attacks. That kind of stuff is just highly valuable to me.
Totally. Okay. Great unit. 120 for 3 of these dudes. Perfectly pointed.
Yeah, and they still have the same challenge they always had. Both these guys and the Sky Wardens still have the same problem they've always had, which is they are potent but fragile pieces. Right, that always has been the case. It's still the case, because ultimately you're paying 120, 130 points for 6 wounds. So it is what it is.
I could see running all guns, like 6 of them, all guns, in a gun hauler, in a compartment. So that you're basically increasing the shooting power of the gun hauler. And then they have this neat mobility trick, like where you could 18-inch gun hauler and then zip them out if you needed to or something.
And yes, I agree with O'Neill, who said, by the way, these guys hate mortal wounds, especially like splashy mortal wound stuff. Yes, agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, bolt disengage is likely to lift at a whole unit.
Right.
Not likely, possible. So, yeah, just the optionality of these guys. They don't do one thing particularly amazing. We didn't even talk about the emergency field repairs. You get to roll a dice for each guy. On a 4-up, you heal a boat 1 wound. On a 6, it's 2. It's great. It's great.
Sure. Over on Skywarden Town, the important thing to talk about here is they still have the grapnel launcher option, so Skywardens can do it too. But the Skywardens also have a fairly interesting ability. Timing wise it's problematic, but I like it conceptually, which is timed charges. So this is their new fun thing. At the end of the combat phase, if this unit is within 3 inches of any enemy units, you can say this unit will use its timed charges to make an escape. If you do so, roll a dice. On a 2+, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit to suffer D3 mortal wounds, and this unit must retreat. Neat ability to get them out of combat. Again, they're fragile. It's at the end of the combat phase, so you had to survive to that point, I suppose.
But then you can rally if it's.
But it does very much let's go back to Mr. 4+ rally ability. Retreating out of turn is quite strong. And so this, if you've got a 6-pack where you didn't get wiped and you're down to even 1 or 2 guys and they stay alive through an inspiring presence. Hey, guess what? Why don't you get a couple dudes back? So.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It just makes me wonder, I hate the fact that I can't use it if I'm in a boat.
Sure. You can't use it in the boat because you can't move on the boat.
Yeah, you can't retreat.
Yes, because you can't set bombs on your own boat. Correct. That is the correct implementation.
Actually, I don't know. So here's the funny thing. It sounds like you could do this. Trigger timed charges, blow them up, and then it says you must retreat, and then you have another rule saying you can't move. So it's just a free extra D3 mortals per unit on a 2+.
Yeah, I don't. It's a good question. Does the boat rule just intervene and then you just get some extra D3 mortals? That's a good question. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Because you could do 3 units of 3 do MSU, so you're going to get 43 mortals at the end of the combat.
Yeah.
Each on a 2+.
Obviously, then they can't retreat.
But it doesn't matter, because the boat says they can't retreat, so they just stay in combat and blow up the enemy. Yeah.
Yep. And the can't would beat the must. Yes.
Yeah.
Huh. Hadn't thought about that. I still feel like these 2 guys are still part of my problem. I just still feel like these 2 guys, the 2 units, aren't as role-based separated as they should be. Yeah, I still feel like we had a missed opportunity here, where I really wish they had just went in hard and made Like, let's just make the Endrin Riggers the super melee unit, and let's make the Sky Wardens the super shooty unit, or something. It doesn't have to be that. Like, I don't care. Whatever.
You know what the difference? Like, it would have been a very simple change. If they should have just given the Wardens, kept the points, by the way, the exact same. Given the Wardens a 3-up save.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yep.
Your Wardens are your soldiers. That's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the ones that are your trained military elite. The Endrin Riggers are engineers with saws on their hands.
Sure.
Because they're using the saws to repair the ship, and they're just like, oh shit, there's some guys, let's slice them up.
Yeah.
Right.
Some really effective saws. They
should be the softer, like, the Endrin Riggers should be the softer target. It doesn't matter whether their damage is still really good. Their caps are still comparable, but on average, the pikes are going to do more, right? So I don't know. I think that's the answer. Would have been to give them 3-ups.
I don't like that the gap between Riggers and Wardens narrowed because of Beric Zahn going to all Skyfarers. Like, I love the fact that Beric Zahn is +1 to hit and wound on all my heroes, everything, but it used to be that was the Sky Warden faction, and you picked Beric Zahn because now your Wardens were on 2s and 2s, but now your Riggers are on 2s and 2s, and the gap narrowed because Zahn got better, and that doesn't feel great.
Yeah, sure. But ultimately, still both good units. It's not as though I think one of them's bad or something like that. I just think they could have done a better job. So there we go. Hey, that's KO. Overall, not a book for me. I'm sad I don't get to do my army conversion. But I actually think a pretty good book. Solid internal balance, lots of options, different playstyles. They managed to really explore some space within a mostly shooty army. And I think that's good. They constrained a lot of the NPE that I think people felt before. Overall, I call this a big success. It's a huge improvement. Like, this is getting my MVP award for the year for most improved player award at the end of the year for sure. There's no question about that. So
I don't know of a book that has better internal balance. I can't think of one that has better internal balance than this book.
Do we get to count just Ironjaws? It's fine. Because it's always Ironjaws. Or maybe Sons of Behemoth. But those are both cheating answers. I take your meaning completely. All right. Well, hey, Matt, thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it.
I really, really enjoyed this. This has been a thrill. Kind of I wouldn't say a dream come true. I don't like you that much, Vince, but it's certainly something I've been dreaming of for quite a long time.
Absolutely. Hey, if you haven't already, hit like, subscribe, do all those things. Buttons are fun. There's so many different buttons you could click right now. Don't miss out. Go ahead, Tom. Go.
Keith, this is a great question to end on. So did this shift on the psychographic triangle profile?
It's midline Johnny Spike.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
I don't remember where it was before, but that's where it is now.
That's where it is.
I think you had it trending more toward Johnny than Spike, but I think this is definitely. I mean, it removed a lot of the uncertainty and unpredictability that the last book had. So I think that it probably shifted a little bit more toward middle Johnny Spike, but still right at the bottom of that base of the triangle.
Yep. Like Timmy goes nowhere near this. This isn't for him. Stay away unless you're a crazy person like Matt. There you go. All right. Well. Thank you so much, everybody. Like I said, hit those buttons, do the fun things. Hey, we really appreciate you watching. As always, if you want to support the channel, there's lots of ways you can do so. You can hit all those buttons. That's free. You can. There's a Patreon down below focused on review and feedback and taking your next step on your hobby journey. There's a merch store down there. There's an Element Games affiliate link down there. You can go listen to my podcast about D&D. There's all sorts of crazy other things you can do. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh, so many links and buttons and things to click. Boy, oh boy. Aren't you lucky? All right. At any rate, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. As always, I don't have my screen up. That's fine. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday.